Check out SI Design and Printing. They're going to transform your sports organization athletic facilities into what you're looking for by enhancing the student athlete experience, boasting the brand, and honoring your past. They do that with banners, backlit signage, locker graphics, window graphics, fence mesh graphic designs, and so much more. If you need a refresh, SI Design is going to help you do that. Check them out online, sidesign.net. And hey, if you're a parent or a grandparent, they've got something for you as well, as SI Design is the leading provider of custom sports prints. They offer a variety of products, including posters, banners, canvases, and more. All you have to do is upload your high-quality studio or action shot, and SI Design will create the memory for you. For more information, all you have to do is go to their website, sidesign.net/sports prints, and you'll get all the information that you need. You can also find them on Facebook. Just type in SI Design and Printing. Give them a call, 254-405-9492, or you can email them, info@sidesign.net, and tell Kyle that's sideline to sideline. L4 Media, we talk high school football, 4A, 3A, and 2A in Texas. We talk East Texas sports. We talk NFL, guy talk, movie and booze. We also talk wrestling and so much more. So like and subscribe and check us out. It's two blue bloods of Texas high school football in a rematch. Last year, Albany got the best of the Mart Panthers. Mart's looking for revenge. Albany's looking for a repeat. Who wins? Let's talk about it today. Hello, everybody. It's Terry Bennett here on the Class 2A Division II preview show right here on L4 Media, brought to you by SI Design and Printing. As we're going to have ourselves a great show today. We're going to be talking with, of course, Grant Goodwin, Matt Diggs, and, of course, Coach X as he gives us his State of the Union address, plus gives us a pick on this game. And I'm going to go ahead and tell you right now, I'm not real sure how locked in Coach X was into this Albany Mart game. Let's just say he had to ask me who won last year. Anyway, we're going to have a good time as always. But before we do all that, I think we want to meet the teams. Let's talk about Albany. Let's talk about Mart, their records, their key players, and all that fun stuff. The Division II Class 2A State Championship preview show, Albany versus Mart. Before we get to Grant and Matt, I wanted to meet the teams. We'll start with Albany, 15-0 on the year. The Lions, of course, led by Denny Faith. This is the only head coaching job he's had, and what a record he has: 359 wins, 110 losses. And the guy's been coaching so long, he actually has 4 ties. What have we been, 20 years now that we haven't had ties in high school football? On the season, the Lions are scoring about 44 points a game. They're giving up about 7. This is their 9th state championship appearance. They're 3-5 in their previous state. And remember, last year when they beat Mart in this game, it was their first state championship since, I think, 1961. They're led through the air by Chip Chambers, who has quietly had a phenomenal season. 2,438 yards, 59% completion, 35 touchdowns, and 12 interceptions. Of course, everything Adam Hill at running back, 2,500 yards, 8.9 yards per carry, and 42 touchdowns. And if you think of Albany as only a running team, then you're going to get caught up by Kason Fairchild at wide receiver on the year. 62 receptions, 1,143 yards, and 14 touchdowns. For the Panthers of Mart, 15-0. Head coach Kevin Hoffman, this has also been his only head coaching stop, at least as of now. And look at that record: 121 wins, 12 losses in his career. It's absolutely phenomenal. They score 48 points a game. They only give up about 9 points a game. This is their 15th state championship. They're 8-6 in those 15. Of course, the last 2 times they've been in, they've been beat. Albany last year, of course, and then Windthorst a couple years ago in that shocking 22-21 upset. Mart is led through the air by quarterback DeMontrell Medlock. Now, his numbers aren't going to just wow you through the air, 1,692 yards, but it's the 18 touchdowns, the 1 interception ratio. They don't throw the ball a ton, but when they do, they rarely make mistakes, and they tend to hit big plays. He also has 1,274 yards rushing with 7 touchdowns. And then J.D. Bell on the ground, 2,336 yards, 41 touchdowns. That Mart rushing game is lethal. But again, just like Albany, if you sleep on their wide receivers, they'll catch you. Ethan Hawking, 24 receptions, 588 yards, 24.2 yards per catch, 6 touchdowns. D'Angelo Roach, 29 receptions, 428 yards, and 3 touchdowns. Again, Mart doesn't throw it a lot, but they are a big play throw when they do decide to pass the ball. And that is a look at Albany and Mart, the stats, the coach, and how they got there. We're going to take a break. And when we come back, we're going to let the experts take over, including Grant Goodwin, Matt Diggs, and the venerable legend Coach X, right here on the Class 2A Division II State Championship Preview Show on L4 Media. Is your demanding work lifestyle in need of fire-resistant clothing that can keep up? Well, L4FR clothing should be your go-to for quality, affordability, safety, and style. L4FR was founded by a third-generation oil field worker who is also a veteran. Thus, this company has a deep appreciation for reliability and longevity, all while we provide first-rate customer service. Our durable apparel will serve you well for many years to come, whether you're working on a pipeline, a lineman climbing utility poles, or in any other environment requiring fire-resistant apparel. L4FR has you covered. Our apparel is tough enough to resist hazardous conditions while still providing high comfort and style. L4FR provides clothing options to ensure your safety and comfort, whether you're on the job or not. To view our complete inventory of flame-resistant garments, please visit our online store at l4frclothing.com or give us a call at 817-757-4935. Si habla español. The Sideline to Sideline Championship preview shows, now joined by my host, Grant Goodwin. And before we break down all the games, Mr. Goodwin, just tell me, what are your thoughts on 2A through 4A this year, the state championship games? Some people think it's going to be some great games. Others think they're going to be a lot of blowouts. Where do you fall on that?
Man, there's some that could go either way. You know, there's going to be one or two that you kind of think maybe might out that are about and surprise you a lot, like Windthorst a couple of years ago. You know,
yeah,
I could foresee some games like that. What I really like is it's refreshing. There's a lot of new faces, some newcomers to the games.
Yeah, that's I think been the thing that I've enjoyed much, and I've been doing these interview with coaches, and I've talked to Tidehaven and I've talked to Toller, two teams that haven't been there. Tidehaven in a long time, Toller in ever. And the thing that I've got from both of them is, yeah, this is exciting. Yeah, this is awesome. But they also were like, I didn't realize how little of actual coaching I would get to do this week because of all the things that are around this game. And it's not even Coach Mullins from Toller was like, it's not even the interviews. It's the paperwork. It's the things like that, things you wouldn't think a coach would have to deal with on this week.
Yeah, especially if you're, man, you got to hope you have help.
Yeah, that's been the biggest thing this is as Coach Mark Fannin said from Franklin, this is when you know how good your coordinators are, when you basically have to leave them in the coach's room and just assume that they're going to be able to take care of things. One of the things that has been a big conversation, and it always is at this time of year, is the fact that it's in Dallas, and especially this year because there are so many games where one opponent is sleeping in their bed the night before, and then the other opponent is traveling 5, 6, 8, 9 hours, either overnight or trying to get up early in the morning. I still contend that with kids, it's not that big of a deal.
No, sure, you'd hate to get thrown out of your routine, but yeah, as 15, 16, 17-year-olds, how much is really a routine when, they're in such good shape? They're they're pretty bright-eyed and bushy-tailed when they need to be. So they're not like you and I, where they hurt uh, sneezing or coughing or something. So I don't think it's a big of a deal. Is it the idea situation? Maybe not, but I don't think it matters that much. And everybody's going through the same stuff. I know, yeah, some schools are closer to Arlington than others, but let me tell you, when they walk through that main entrance, when the bus pulls through and they go into the locker rooms, nothing else matters.
What is your favorite part of this week?
Well, it's really I love the games, obviously, but it's the week of the few days leading up to the game, seeing all the fanfare online through social media, through some of the chat channels, the message boards, seeing everybody go back and forth, and it really kind of gets you fired up to say, who's going to be eating crow on Saturday or Friday or whatever, and that's just fun. And a lot of it's good natured ribbing that I like seeing, but I really like seeing those final seconds kind of click off the clock and a team getting its first state championship ever. That's pretty darn cool too. And then being in the press conference room when those first time winners are doing their press conference, that's pretty special as well.
Yeah, I can remember a couple years ago when Franklin finally, broke through and they're winning that state championship, and they were up enough that it started to kind of soak in the fourth quarter. And I can remember they had a shot of Fannin, and I even talked about it to him about it today. And he was looking up at the scoreboard, and you could kind of see in his mind he was starting to add up. Oh wait, we're about to win this. Like, there's no way now Gunner can complete this comeback. And just the look on his face, and just as he even said it, there was some of it was a relief, but just the finally winning one for a program that had been knocking on the door for so long.
Yeah, and you got to think if he gets it done this year, this would be 3 in a row, and it would be complete elation, probably mixed with a lot of relief. Franklin themselves had a lot of pressure on them with the big winning streak this year. And I guarantee you, everybody in Franklin expects to be hoisting that state championship trophy. So him, Coach Fannin and that staff and those kids have a lot on their shoulders. So I think it'll be elation, but it'll also be a lot of relief when the clock hits 4 zeros and they come out the winner.
To a Division II, we got the battle of unbeatens. We've got the rematch. We've got Albany 15-0. We've got Mart 15-0. Last year, Albany gets their first state championship in like 30-something years when they beat Mart 41-21. I don't know why, but I just feel like this year it's going to be a closer game. I think Mart has a legitimate chance to win this game.
Yeah, when you're as athletic as Mart is with J.D. Bell and DeMarco Medlock, the defense that Mart's played, again, I think we've said it 2 weeks in a row that Mart might have the most underrated defense right now in Class 2A. So they're definitely going to challenge Albany, the incumbent here, right? How much is that Mart defense going to be able to slow down Adam Hill and Chip Chambers and Kason Fairchild? I mean, that's going to be tough for Mart. Adam Hill went off for 167 yards against Sunray last week. So, Albany, big and physical on both sides of the ball, a lot like Toller in that sense. But yeah, I think Mart has the chance getting the ball in space, getting to the edges. And if they do, it could be a long day for that Albany defense.
Well, and I just keep going back to that Munster game for Albany. And we had talked about it, going into that game. It was one of the reasons why we picked Munster in the upset was Munster's defense did one thing really well, and that was stop the run. Mm-hmm. And that's what Mart does. I mean, Mart can do both, but that front seven for Mart, for all the talk about what Mart has, and we get kind of caught up in their speed and their athleticism, I think this front seven for Mart is one of the strongest that the Panthers have had in this 10-year run that they've had.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I do too. I think I think this is Mart's year to exact revenge on Albany. Will they? I don't know. I'm leaning towards Albany right now. I'm sure at kickoff I'll be on the Mart side of things, but right now I've got Albany in what I think could be a lower scoring game, a 24-21, 28-21, somewhere around there. I think it's just something tells me it's going to be a little bit lower scoring, but I like Albany coming out on the winning side of that.
Yeah, how many times have we seen a team like Albany, and we referenced Franklin, even Mart to an extent when they had that, that little area where they weren't quite as good, where they knock on the door, when they finally get there, they don't want to go away. And it kind of feels like where Albany is now. They went from haven't won a state championship since 1961, always knocking on the door, to now they're here, and it just feels like, as much as I think Mart can make this a game, I do believe if Mart is to win it, it'll kind of be like Malakoff Brock last week, where Albany's mistakes will play a huge part in that. Mart's going to need Albany to help them for Mart to win the game.
Yeah, and you're exactly right. If Albany does not come out and play a clean game, this game goes the other way. I mean, again, the speed and quickness of Mart is that they just need a little bit of help. Help at all. I mean, Albany play straight up, no turnovers, played perfect, and Mart still might be able to get the edge, or will be able to get the edges on it. I think we will limit the big plays, and if they take care of the ball, Albany wins the game, I think.
Football, it's something that is a Texas favorite. Often it's prioritized above so much in our culture here in Texas. Coach Jake Johnson. He's the head football coach for the Mill South Texas high school football team. He's actually quite an imposing figure.
Run it.
But
No
cancer
change.
didn't care. It didn't care that he was a big, strong guy. It didn't care that he has a wife and kids. It didn't care that he was somebody's son. Cancer didn't care that he is a coach trying to help his football players become young men.
Dogs! Go.
Cancer didn't even care about his faith. When he received his diagnosis a little over a year ago, his wife and kids surrounded him in love and support. His parents immediately got in the car from Georgia and drove out to be with him and his family. His in-laws also came to help out around the house as well. Surrounded by help, love, and support, instead of fear and worry, Coach Johnson chose to move forward, walking in and relying on his faith.
I don't know how good of a job I did, but I can tell you this. It certainly allowed me to speak truth into them that their value is not in winning a football game.
Terry Bennett back here on the Albany versus Mart pregame show, if it's for the watch party. And as you can see on the screen, if you're watching on the video, we're going to be having a watch party for Albany versus Mart. We're also going to be having a watch party for all of the state championship games for 2A, 3A, and 4A. They'll be on YouTube at L4 Media Company, on our Facebook page, live, sideline to sideline, on Twitter at Grant and Terry. We'll be, of course, blasting them all over there. All right, now we're about to have Matt Diggs. And the reason I'm stepping in now before I start this part of it is I had some technical issues. When I record these, where I'm recording with Grant this week, the way we had to do it, or with Coach X or Matt or Brett of NETSN, I do them all at once, and it's just easier than to chop them up and then I drop them into the show that they're corresponding to. The problem is sometimes you have technical issues and you don't know it until after. And that's what happened here with Diggs. I had a microphone issue on my end. Sometimes whenever I'm, leaving the board on for a long time and doing other things and then coming back to record, sometimes for whatever reason it disconnects, and you really don't know until after you're done recording. And so that's what happened here. So I'm going to sound like I'm in an echo chamber, but you're going to be able to hear and you're going to be able to understand everything. And Matt sounds perfectly fine. But I just wanted to go ahead and come in and say that at this point so you would know. But here is Matt Diggs giving his view on the state championship week in general and his view on Albany versus Mart. Matt Diggs back here on the Sideline to Sideline State Championship preview. We're starting off talking
Toller and Timpson, and we'll be talking all those through this. But before we do all that, Mr. Diggs, first off, how you doing, buddy?
Hey, I'm blessed. How you doing, Terry?
It's my favorite time of the year. I hate it because it's the end of the season. So, like, we talked about this last week on the show. It's like a cliff. Like, I'm going. And then for me, Saturday morning, I wake up and it's like, oh, I have nothing else to do now for 6 months. But other than that, I love this time of year. And it's state championship. And before we get into breaking down the games, just give me your overall. What do you think about this year's championship games? I think it's a pretty good combination of new teams, old teams, all that. What are your thoughts?
I disagree with you a little bit because, I mean, at the top of the bracket, effectively, in the 6A, it's the same old thing. I mean, favorites are probably the favorites yet again. And this is the first year where my fairness bracket has kind of kicked in. I think we kind of see a little bit of a disparity with all the Dallas schools making it. That is it truly fair that all of those programs are going to get to sleep in their bed and have just a normal week, a normal preparation, whereas you've got all these other teams coming from around the state to AT&T Stadium who are going to be completely out of their routine. And I think that is a massive intangible for some of the games, especially when you have a team like Summer Creek who's never been here before, playing a team that's not only been here before, but it's going to get to sleep in their own bed. So this is the first time, Terry, I've really kind of felt like, and is this situation really fair for all teams involved?
Well, yeah, I agree with you at the top end, and I've talked to you about it, and me and Grant have talked about it. It's funny, I can't get enough of Gunner versus Canadian, but honestly, Duncanville versus North Shore, I just don't care anymore. I hate to say it, but other than Coach Samples finally winning it last year, the best game of it was the first game, the Hail Mary. Every one of them since then has just been, and this is also a compliment to the two defenses, but let's just be honest, they've been boring football.
Oh yeah, they're very, but because they're so good at it, it's kind of like watching mid-tier SEC football, and you're just like, yeah, this is great. I've seen it. It's nice, and I just like to see new teams, and maybe 7A will finally shake it up to where we get new teams and new classes and new matchups. But I mean, overall, right now, the really good teams are shining right now, and we're seeing really big point margins. And I think the state championship for maybe 9 of the 12 games are likely blowouts. It's going to be the 3 games that we'll really enjoy and that we will really cherish. But again, so many blowouts, and I think it's just because the teams are the teams this year.
Yeah, I mean, and it was a couple of years ago. I think if I remember off the top of my head, last year was solid, but a couple of years ago, it was a pretty. Like I even admitted, like midway through the 4As, I was kind of like, all right, I'm done. Like they just weren't exciting games, and that's the one negative. Honestly, also about I feel like we're being all negative, Nancy. We just talked about this is our favorite time of the year, but one of the other negatives about when you're in that kind of stadium is even if it's an exciting game, you kind of lose that. You at home, and even there. I mean, I've been there. I've been there just as many times as I haven't since they started the one place, and that is one of the negatives, man. Even if Mart and Albany go into overtime, it's 7,000 fans and 92,000 or 100,000 seat stadium, and you don't get to feel that energy and that pull of that game.
Yeah, and I think on Saturday we could see some really energetic crowds with PNG in South Dallas. So that side will definitely be good. You're right, and that was your idea, Terry. That really captivated me throughout the season. Is let's take these small schools and put them to the Star. Let's let those games be played at the Star, and I think you could have some fascinating and a little bit more compactful type of games where you're not expanding this out over four days. One of the things I'm actually looking most forward to is on Wednesday. I'm going to go check out a little 6-man football action, and as well as the Wednesday night game. And I'm beginning to start to see the allure of the Wednesday night games. I think the Wednesday night game has even more prestige than maybe even the Thursday afternoon or the Thursday morning game, because you got a night game. You are the main event across the state of Texas, and it's something unique. Wednesday night football doesn't happen often.
Yeah, but I still feel that because it's not, and this is not a knock on the 2 6As, but the people that go to see 6A are the hardcores, the 6-man fans, or this is the first time I've ever seen it and I want to see it. The rest, and I know this from talking to people and stuff, the rest are just like, Yeah, I'll start on Thursday. I'll just I'll watch the first game in my hotel room if they have Bally's or if anybody has Bally's. But yeah, I'll just start my big going there every day on Thursday. So I see the point, but I do think it gets hurt by that. Now I wonder if there's a point that if we're going to keep them in Dallas or at one place, and it's going to be Dallas for the most part or Arlington. I almost wonder: is there any point do you ever switch up the rotation? I know you're never going to put a 6A on Wednesday, but why can't 3A and 4A and 2A switch it up a little bit and they rotate a little bit and let 2A have a Friday night or something like that? Everybody talks about all the 6-man and 2A really want to be there. Okay, so then let's make it fair for them.
Right. And I mean, yeah, they flip the D1, D2, and really that only impacts the Thursday night, Friday morning.
Yep.
That otherwise your 6As are Saturday, whether it's at 3 or 7. So but again, we're talking about fine tweaking a really good system.
Yes.
For the most part, it is a very good system, and I think you could do some things better with it. But especially this year, so many Dallas area teams that highlights the disparity in having to come up here and not come up there. I throw a little psychology fact out there. And if you're coming up here if you're coming in here to sleep and you're going to stay at a hotel, the first night you ever sleep at a hotel, psychologically, your fight or flight mechanism, your parasympathetic nervous system is always on guard because you're in a completely new environment. You don't get good night sleeps the first night. Now, when you're on a vacation, second, third, fourth night, yeah, you're fine. But that very first night, you have problems. And a lot of these teams are only coming up for one night if they're coming up at all. And if they're not coming up at all, we're talking about 3 or 4 a.m. wake-up times. That is a massive change to the anatomy and your routine for getting ready for football.
Yeah, I think Franklin's coming up the day of because I think I saw on their Franklin page that they're having a send-off party at 6:30 a.m. But I will flip that on you, and I'm not trying to act like it's not a benefit, but I had one coach tell me he would prefer to have his kids in a hotel that he's over than be at their own homes where they might be up all night because they're nervous playing video games or online or watching movies. He goes, I'd rather at least have a control of I can check and see if they're at least laying down at night. So I can see I see your side of it, and it does look bad because there's just so many DFW area teams. But I do think there's a case to be made that these are kids, and kids bounce back really well. And all the stuff that we gripe about now, back when we were 14, 15, 16, we wouldn't even pay attention to.
All valid points, and a coach being able to kind of keep that kind of control over a team is very important. But still, you can be laying down, but it doesn't mean you're getting good rest.
All right, Matt, let's talk Class 2A Division 2. This is a matchup of two blue bloods, two undefeateds. Albany 15-0 versus Mart 15-0. A rematch of last year, but this is a game I don't have a problem seeing again because I think this is going to be one of our closest games.
See, I actually disagree with you a little bit here, and it has. I mean, we got two blue bloods, and I love when we have blue bloods playing each other, which kind of means throw out the records, throw out what happened last year. But again, we've used this metaphor on multiple games and multiple theories, and it's really paid off well. I mean, I think it's happened more often than not. When you had a rematch of last year, has the team, especially in somewhat of a blowout, made up that much of a deficit? And now I'm asking myself, is Mart 20 points better than they were last year? Or is Albany 20 points worse than they were last year? As of right now, I think Mart is at least as good, maybe a little bit less than they were last year. But Albany, I think, is as good, if not better. So I'm looking at this as where are they going to get the 20 points? I mean, you might get a turnover or two and make this game a little bit closer at the end of the day. But 20 points on a guarantee as a projection, and I'm going big on Albany at this point.
See, I feel that Albany is less than last year, and that's not. I mean, less than last year. And again, we're not talking like big, oh my God, results. But I just go back to that Munster game, and Munster, well, with a team that's a really solid defense, but I mean they're not dominant, they're not overly athletic, a young offense that's good, but again they don't. There wasn't teams watching Munster this year going, oh my God, we feared their offense or their defense. And yet Munster, you can make the case, should have beat Albany. And actually, we go back to the outplayed but turnovers. They had the turnover late with like a minute left, the interception as they were driving in to score. I think Albany's team last year beats the doors off this Munster team. As great as Adam Hill is, he is one-dimensional now. That's the thing. They don't have that they had last year. And this isn't a knock on the quarterback now, but they just don't have that big play from other spots. And to me, Mart, you give them, hey, you've got to stop one guy. Mart usually does a really good job of that.
Chip Chambers, I mean, he had, especially against Sunray, and you know how Sunray did in their regional finals, 14 of 20, 204 yards, 2 touchdowns, kind of spread it out a little bit. Obviously, Adam Hill, 3 touchdowns. He's your main event. I think Albany has a little bit more there, but at the end of the day, you got size versus speed, and in 2A, size does pretty well in these kind of matchups, unless it's a complete disparity in speed, and I don't think we're at complete disparity in speed. I think Mart will be a favorite as far as speed goes, but I don't think it's going to be just this night and day kind of a thing. Albany has been here. I think Albany, if we're being honest, might even have a little bit of an edge on the coaching side of things as well. Coach Faith has done a great job, and I mean, I think we might even see like a send-off for Coach Faith. I could definitely see a situation where he wins a state championship and retires in the press conference. I mean, what he has done has been fantastic, and if that is even getting out there, what an intangible for that team to play at their max if they think that they may be sending him off and they want to send him off with a win. What better way to do it than at AT&T Stadium?
Honestly, it felt like, because I was watching them from here, and I can remember I was queuing up the post-game stuff and ready to start going, and they talked to him, and, he's emotional because of their winning state, of course, but it just felt like there was a moment like he was about to be, because he talked about, it's been years, I never thought I would get up this mountain. Again, everybody talked about Coach Samples, but here he is trying to do the same thing. And I never thought I would. And I kept waiting for so I've decided to this, but now he came back, and I actually kind of agree with you. I kind of feel like it might be either way. This feels like with this team, next year they're going to be returning, I think, 3-3 or something like that. That feels like a natural break for when a new regime, kind of like how Holiday did it last year with Frank Johnson. You had enough coming back that you were still going to be really good, but it was that perfect moment to hand it off to a new scheme, a new offense, and that kind of stuff. So I can see Albany doing that. All right, so you have Albany winning. Give me a score.
I think Albany is going to win this game 38-24.
All right, I'm going to go, I guess, with the slight upset. I'm going Mart 28-21.
Okay, so you think 4 touchdowns better. You're turning it around.
Yes.
Last year, Albany won by 3 scores. You got Mart by 1 score, so you're going for a 28-point turnaround.
Yeah, because I had a coach, he listened to us last week, and he said, he goes, I get what y'all are saying. He goes, but legitimately, it is 0-0 when you start the game. You don't start with a 40. Which, by the way, wouldn't football kind of be more enjoyable than if you did do that? Like, okay, so last year, Canadian won by 7, so they're up 7-0 to start the game and go. Just add something to the sport, I think.
I mean, kind of when we have some of those crazy tiebreakers, we do get that at the beginning of when we're getting into tiebreaker season. But I do think there is something to be said for that kind of prognostication. And as the reigning and defending Pick'em champion, it works.
No, you're not wrong.
Okay.
on the one time that I meant to be on there.
So I've got to pull back and tell people what happened on that. I mean, I knew I'd had him. I just had never told Grant. Didn't really think about it, having a spot for him and stuff. And one of the nights we were recording, in fact, that's the first night that the playoff tree showed up. I just accidentally hit the button as I was moving my hand to move, to switch a file and everything. And so for like 5 seconds, he starts talking like that. And that we realized playoff tree. And then I let him pick your voice. And, I thought he was going to be nice. And he picked the weirdest voice for you. So you sound like a little person who might, offer candy to kids in the van, while playoff tree, which should be, you would think, happy and, joyous, sounds like he's about to eat our souls.
I don't think there's a lot of little people that offer candy to kids in vans, because I don't think they would be the scariest. Like, if a little person was like, "Hey kid, you want some candy?" I mean, they could easily probably just push that guy down and run away. Like, if the guy, and the logistics of a little person getting a kid into a van, I mean, I guess it would depend on the age of him, but I think a little person would be a good abductor, because I don't think kids would be afraid of him.
That's a good point.
As like a regular person.
Hey, it's the Coach X. I was going to say it's the Coach X G.I. Joe now moment, as you're helping kids not be kidnapped by little people.
Whether they're big or small, run away no matter what.
And the sad thing is, it's not like we planned any of that conversation. That's what happens when, we always joke on the air like we're all fighting, but you said it best one day. Our text threads between me, you, and Grant, we can go silent for 4 months, and then we'll just get a random like, "Hey, have you ever thought about putting a pineapple up somebody's butt? What would happen?" And we'll go for 2 days on that, and then we won't talk again for 4 or 5 months.
I think that was a side conversation you and Grant had. I don't remember that one.
Well, you're the one that sent the pictures. You in playoff tree?
No, I don't think so. Playoff tree scared me, dude. Like, that was really like that was a biblical voice.
It really is.
And a bad biblical. Oh, it was bad. Like, if I asked any kid to say, "Hey," like in my class, like, "Hey, what do you think the devil sounds like?" I'm pretty sure they would get close to Grant. And then the playoff tree, or Grant as the playoff tree, not just Grant, but Grant is the playoff tree. I'm sorry I ruined that illusion for everybody.
Well, no, I was about to say, so the funniest thing about that is you can tell Grant forgets that we're doing on video, because this whole time he was doing the tree, and he said something after the second show, was like, "You think they know it was me?" And I'm like, "Well, maybe not the audio listeners, maybe not." But he goes, "Well, why do you think the others?" I'm like, "Well, Grant, you're talking on the mic." And he was like, "I got to stop drinking so much during the shows." He had totally forgot about that, man. He legitimately just forgot that the camera had him there the whole time. But anyway, let's talk some state football. What is your overall thoughts on 2A through 4A? The games this week. Matt Diggs and I were talking. We did his segment, and he kind of feels like there's going to be a bunch of blowouts. Do you feel that way?
I'm taking the exact opposite of Matt of Mike Duggs. I can promise you that. But that guy knows nothing of what he speaks. Like, I heard the other day, he was going to get a henna tattoo that said "forever" on it. Like, that's how stupid that guy is. So,
that took me a minute. I like that. Well played, sir.
But I think, we say this kind of every year, like, the games that I think are going to be really close end up being one-sided. Mm-hmm. And the games that I'm like, "Oh man, these guys will whip them," end up being, where it's like one possession games. Like, I remember last year, I thought Wimberley and Carthage would be, I knew Carthage would win.
Yeah.
But I thought it would be like a 14, point game. Yeah. And maybe, Carthage scores with, late in the fourth quarter to go up 14 or maybe 21 points, something like that. And then Carthage just throttled them. Like, the game was like 42-0 or 42-7 or something like that. And I was like, wow, this was a big letdown. But then, who was it? Bernie was up last year, and then China Spring came back and won.
Yep.
That was a good game. And I kind of thought China Spring would control that, pretty much the whole game. So, the one thing I've learned from doing this show and then just watching ESPN is nobody knows. Like, everybody thinks that they know, but nobody knows. Grant says it, y'all say it. You're dealing with high school kids. you never know what's going to. Kid that was fine at practice yesterday. His girlfriend broke up with him now, and now he's mad and he doesn't want to play, and he's out there pouting around, and then his attitude rubs off on some other kid.
Mhm.
Somebody's worried about him. It's just, you never know. And I chose to make that my life, which shows how stupid I am. But I think there's some really good games, especially I think the best game potentially is the Malakoff Franklin game.
Mhm.
I'm really excited about that one. And then I think the 4A D2 game is Gilmer and
Belleville.
and I think that's going to be a good one too. So the other ones, I guess I do kind of agree with that other guy, that I think they have potential to get out of hand, but who knows? Again, like I said, nobody knows. We don't know. I don't know. I pretend that I know, but I really don't know. Even though I did go like I said, 29-3 that 1 week of the playoffs. And then
so
I knew 20 more times or 29 times out of 32. So that was pretty good.
Yeah, and in a year this year where it seemed like from about week 2 on, there seemed to be 3 upsets per round from 2A to 4A. Yeah, you actually did pretty good. Now, let me ask you, somebody, we always joke about, but you have been at this game. You have won at this game. I've been talking to coaches for these state championship preview shows, and of course, talking to like Mart Fannin of Franklin. It's old hat now. I mean, he's as a head coach, he's never not played in a state championship game. But talking to the couple of the other coaches that this is their first time playing as a head coach at this level, and a couple of them, this is their first time, period. The biggest thing they've told me is they're shocked at how little of football they're actually getting to do this week because of everything else, the interviews, the paperwork, the UIL, all that kind of stuff. When you've been here, have you seen it that same way?
Oh, yeah. It's, you're doing interviews with, it's really cool. Don't get me wrong. You're doing interviews like Craig Way and stuff like that. But all the additional stuff and travel and getting, we had to take charter buses and you had to get that all lined up, and who gets the charter bus, the football players, the cheerleaders, and everybody that comes back to you, and the band wants a charter bus. And we're like, where's the football coaches? Let the band get the band a charter bus. And then, fan bus, all that stuff. And then, you got interview, and you got to get them a 2-deep roster, and you got to get them the last year we went, I started making it a phonetic roster because they mispronounced a bunch of our kids' names. So I made up an old phonetic roster, and then a 2-deep roster, and then a special teams roster. And I was like, man, special teams roster, dude, we're just grabbing kids and throwing them out there. And sometimes, you get in the lower levels of football, sometimes kids dying on the sideline. You just like, go run down the kickoff, your L4, go. So you got to deal with all that. And then the crazy thing was, if you're those middle games, like whoever's doing the TV now, Valleys or whatever, but it was like, all right, you get 30 minutes to warm up. That's what you get, and you usually, at a regular football game, like if the game starts at 7:30, you get there at, 5, and you do the kids walk around the field, and you start getting taped, and you have your meetings, and then you go do this, and you run through your pregame, and you do this, you do that, and then you go back in the locker room, and then maybe meet with the quarterback or linebacker or something again, and then you get the last little, head coach goes in there and, we're going to beat them, and let's go out and roll. And that's like a 2-hour thing. And sometimes some coaches, it's a 2.5-hour thing. And they're like, nope, you get 30 minutes, guy. You can't get in the locker room until this time, and you can't do that. And so, I remember the year we went, or first time I went, we were, doing like high knees and stuff in the parking lot underneath the stadium, and getting warmed up and tried to save some time there. But remember Wednesday before we left, we went through our crash course pregame routine just so the kids would have some type of idea of what we were doing and why we were doing it, so we could save and be more efficient. And then you have to figure out how to win the state championship between all that and everything too. And when we played, there was 4 games on Thursday.
Yep.
And the one, And so, I mean, then they're trying to smash 4 games in on a Thursday, but then there's really not a great way to do it. I mean, the TV exposure and the way that how the kids get it done is great for the kids, and there's not a perfect way to do it. You have to play 4 games on Thursday, or what they're doing now, which I think is better. But then those guys that are playing on Wednesday, that 2A team, that goes back and forth, like really you only get 2 days to practice for the state championship game. And, that can be rough too. And if you're coming from far away,
yep,
you might not get that much. Like I looked and saw, Toller's playing, and, Toller's not very far from AT&T, and Timpson's, it's a day's drive. But, I remember that one year, and I saw the Canadian guy talking, like they were playing at 10 o'clock in the morning on Thursday. Well, they're 8 hours away from AT&T Stadium. And he was like, yeah, we practiced Monday and Tuesday. We got up early and drove to Wichita Falls Wednesday and stopped and had practice there, and then had dinner, and then stayed in a hotel room, and then had to get up. I was like, gosh almighty, I'm glad I didn't have to do that.
Well, you bring up a good point, because that is something that this year, because of the matchups, people are starting to do the whole, well, why is this not being rotated more? Because when you look, and we're not covering the higher classes, but, North Shore's used to it, but you've got Duncanville, DFW versus Houston, DeSoto, DFW versus Summer Creek, which is Humble, which is Houston, Aledo versus Smithson Valley, which is basically north of San Antonio, South Oak Cliff versus PNG, Port Neches Grove, Anna versus Chapel Hill. All of those, one team is sleeping in their beds on the night before the game, and the other team, if they're going to come up the day of, they're going to have to get up really, really early to do it.
Yeah, well, to the people that I say are crying about that, build a better stadium in Houston or San Antonio, because y'all can say that NRG and the Alamo Dome and all that stuff is as nice as AT&T Stadium, and I'd say you're a liar, sir. I mean, that's the nicest stadium in the state. I mean, that's just bottom line. It is. And that's where it should be. I mean, that's $1 billion facility. And I've played in all 3 of them. And it's by far, I mean, it's 5 to 10 times nicer than the other 2.
And people don't understand when we say this. You can say what you want about Jerry Jones as a Cowboy general manager and some of his other stuff, but his people that he hires knows how to handle everybody, to do it with nicety, with class. I mean, I was at the last one that was at Houston, and the games were perfectly fine, and the people were perfectly nice, but they didn't go that extra step. I mean, it's such a big thing that when the security guard that was up at AT&T Stadium and Texas Stadium back in the day passes away, it literally created a ripple through the state, because that's the type of relationships those people that work for the Dallas Cowboys do for the coaches, for the media, for the fans, for everybody. And as great as the stadium is, to me, it's how they treat everybody. That's the biggest part.
Oh, by far. Like I remember telling somebody the difference between the other 2 stadiums and AT&T Stadium was AT&T Stadium was like, you are a guest in our house, and we're going to make sure that you feel welcomed and you feel like a guest, like you're a house guest, and we want you to stay as long as you want. At the other stadiums, it was like, we're doing you a favor. Yep. So you better appreciate it. And like, I remember one year, like I'm not going to say the stadium just because I don't want to do it, but our game went long, and they wouldn't let the meal for the kids come in. They were like, nope, it's too late. We don't take deliveries anymore. And so they just threw $600 worth of food away because they wouldn't let them go because their game was late. And they're like, nope, gates locked after this time. We don't open it up anymore. And so our kid, we got done. We get done with the state championship game, and our kids were like, "Ah, Coach, what are we getting to eat?" And we're like, "Oh, it should be Sonic around here somewhere." And they're like, "Oh, no, they wouldn't let them in." What do you mean wouldn't let them in? Like and then not only that, didn't tell us. That's what it was. Our head coach called the Sonic, and they were like, "Oh, they didn't let us in. They said the gate was locked, and they wouldn't open it. They wouldn't let anybody in." And so our kids played in the state championship game. We was like, "All right, we'll get on the bus." And we stopped. Luckily, we had a really good superintendent. We stopped at a convenience store. It was the only thing that was open on the drive back. And he's like, "Y'all just get whatever you want." And so, they got chips and peanuts and candy bars on the ride home.
Oh, man, that's great. You have state championship kids who are also sugared up on.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, for sure. Yeah, luckily I was in the van.
All right, let's start talking matchups. Class 2A Division II, Albany versus Mart, 2-15-0 teams. These are two teams that have been here before. Of course, Albany beat Mart last year 41-21 to get Albany's first state championship in like 36 years or something like that. They kind of mirrored what Lorena did a couple years ago because Albany has been a blue blood for a while, but they just couldn't quite get through. They finally did last year, and a lot of people have them as the favorite in this one as well.
Man, I told you on one of my write-ups, I don't like the term blue blood because that involves some incest, and I don't think that goes on at Albany. I don't know, it's a small town, it might, but I would like to think that it doesn't. But anyway, we're red blood. We're Americans. We're red-blooded Americans. Terrence.
Okay.
So anyway, Albany versus, you said Mart. The Mart's traditionally not a bad team.
You think?
But you just informed me on the break that, I don't remember a lot of these games that Albany beat them last year, and I forgot Mart hasn't won in a while.
Yeah.
So you got that in the back of your head. I'm sure, just like I'm sure, Saban wanted to play Georgia last year when, Georgia won it all, and he was sitting there on the TV camera talking to David Pollock about how good Georgia was. I'm sure he was like, oh, really? All right, well, we'll see about that. So I'm sure that's been going through the Mart kids' heads for a while, is getting back here. And Mart's, they're both undefeated. Mart's traditionally really good. Albany's the defending state champion. So Albany's won they're 31 games in a row again, so they're rolling.
Something like, I think they won. I think they lost 2 games last year at the beginning in non-district. I'm trying to think of who it was. It was Holly maybe or somebody else. But yeah, they're like on 26 or 27 in a row.
Wow. And then Mart's won like 105 out of the last 110, and their 5 losses have been in this championship and the semifinals.
Yeah, I mean, they haven't lost a regular season game, if I'm not mistaken, since 2019. And that was the year that they started off the year 2-5 or 2-3, but their losses were to Holland, Franklin, and I think Refugio, and they were all, of course, real close. And they rolled through state. And since then, their only losses have been in the playoffs the last 3 years.
You got to be tough scheduling non-district games if you're at Mart. Like, hey, you want to play? No, we don't. Well, why not, Riesel? Well, because you're Mart and we're Riesel. Oh, well, okay. I mean, that would be terrible. Like, you got to say at the all district or the UIL district release meetings, like, oh man, I hope I don't get in the district with Mart. I hope I didn't get in the district with Mart. And then you're just like, yes, I didn't do it. And then there's, the head coach at Mart being like, hey, we still got that week 3 game, right? Oh yeah. Well, you see, the thing is this, we're not doing that. I can't believe he finds teams to play, which that's why you said that's why he had played Refugio and the Dallas Cowboys or whatever in non-district. So
yeah, that's basically true.
I always usually pick Mart, but then you told me Albany beat them. In fact, I remember a couple of years ago when they lost to Windthorst, we do a pick 'em in our coaches deal. There's some pretty big money on the line, and I remember I was writing the games on the board, and I wrote Mart versus doesn't matter. And so nobody picked Windthorst except my father-in-law did. And then that ended up like pushing him to the top of the pack, but then he lost, I think, on the Duncanville North Shore Hail Mary or something like that. And that knocked him out of the money. But so give me Mart. I mean, why the hell not? I mean, their kids are back. They're used to playing the state championship games. They lost last year. I'm sure they're watched that film 700 times. It's probably been playing on a loop in the weight room while they're in there lifting 365 days. So I'll go with the big Panthers from Mart, Texas, to avenge last year's loss and get it done this year.
L4 Media, we talk high school football, 4A, 3A, and 2A in Texas. We talk East Texas sports. We talk NFL, guy talk, movie and booze. We also talk wrestling and so much more. So like and subscribe and check us out. All right, we're about 5 minutes away from kickoff, or at least the start of the broadcast here, as this is the Albany versus Mart playoff preview show. Going to now turn into the watch party. I'm Terry Bennett. If you're just now tuning in, I'm on little sleep, so this is going to be a fun day. I knew that when we decided to do this whole watch party thing that this would be the toughest day. And the reason is, when I last year, before we came over to L4 and we started doing the video, last year I could do these shows while I was watching the other games just to have them on mute, and I could record what I needed to for the next ones and all that. Well, I can't do that having a watch party unless y'all are just going to sit there and watch me edit and put a show together. And we're here to be talking about the game. So that meant I basically last night after the first game or the last game ended, which really technically the first game for me, and we had a great watch party for that Timpson championship. I think at one point we had 2,500 people in there. Just awesome to have that many people there for a 2A game. I basically went to sleep, took a nap, woke up at about 2:00 this morning, and started putting together the next days, which is today's 3 preview shows. And now we're going to be starting the watch parties. And what we're going to do now, though, is we're going to take a break and we're going to come back when the broadcast start. Albany versus Mart watch party brought to you by SI Design and Printing right here on L4 Media. We'll be right back.
Football, it's something that is a Texas favorite. Often it's prioritized above so much in our culture here in Texas. Coach Jake Johnson. He's the head football coach for the Mill South Texas high school football team. He's actually quite an imposing figure.
Run it.
But
No
cancer
change.
didn't care. It didn't care that he was a big, strong guy. It didn't care that he has a wife and kids. It didn't care that he was somebody's son. Cancer didn't care that he is a coach trying to help his football players become young men.
Dogs! Go.
Cancer didn't even care about his faith. When he received his diagnosis a little over a year ago, his wife and kids surrounded him in love and support. His parents immediately got in the car from Georgia and drove out to be with him and his family. His in-laws also came to help out around the house as well. Surrounded by help, love, and support, instead of fear and worry, Coach Johnson chose to move forward, walking in and relying on his faith.
I don't know how good of a job I did, but I can tell you this. It certainly allowed me to speak truth into them that their value is not in winning a football game.
Helmets don't protect every direction of force, and in some sports, a helmet just isn't part of the equipment, like basketball or soccer. Hockey has a small type of helmet. They just don't protect you against all the directions of forces that come into play. You can get forces on top of your head, on the side, on the back, but under the chin, there's nothing to protect that except for a physiologically positioned jaw. Putting your jaw in its physiologic rest position brings the actual jawbone away from the skull so that when you receive that force from an impact, that force doesn't get translated through the joint into that cradle of the skull, injuring the brain.
Is your demanding work lifestyle in need of fire-resistant clothing that can keep up? Well, L4FR clothing should be your go-to for quality, affordability, safety, and style. L4FR was founded by a third-generation oil field worker who is also a veteran. Thus, this company has a deep appreciation for reliability and longevity, all while we provide first-rate customer service. Our durable apparel will serve you well for many years to come, whether you're working on a pipeline, a lineman climbing utility poles, or in any other environment requiring fire-resistant apparel. L4FR has you covered. Our apparel is tough enough to resist hazardous conditions while still providing high comfort and style. L4FR provides clothing options to ensure your safety and comfort, whether you're on the job or not. To view our complete inventory of flame-resistant garments, please visit our online store at L4FRclothing.com or give us a call at 817-757-4935. Si habla español. Which blue blood will win it this year? Does Albany repeat or does Mart get revenge? We're here to watch it. Hello, everybody. Terry Bennett here. Sideline to sideline. Brought to you by SI Design and Printing. The Albany versus Mart Class 2A Division 2 watching party. That sounds so weird to say that, watching party. It sounds like we're all getting together for a sleepover. We're going to watch Coach X's favorite movie, which is Princess Barbie. And I don't mean the live action one. I mean one of those really bad cartoon ones from like the early 2000s. The only reason I know about those, I had a daughter that was 10 years old in that time frame. That's what I'll say to everybody. But we are about ready to start here as they're showing the pregame. Looks like there's a good crowd there today. I was talking yesterday that they didn't really do a good enough job, in my opinion. And this is, I know a lot of it's because of the size of the stadium, but I wish they would show more crowd shots, not just like individually, but kind of pan back and just kind of let you see what the crowd is like. Right now, they're showing the buses coming in. Of course, Mart on the year, 15-0. Albany 15-0. I mean, these two teams just mirror each other in production, not in style, not in how they do it. Ooh, Isaiah Stanback's on the broadcast, former Cowboy. Met him a couple times. He's a super nice guy. So if you didn't, I'm on caffeine, man. Like I said, it's been I haven't slept much. Today, you'll probably see me in one of these shows have to eat on the air. You know, yesterday there was only one game I was doing, and then tomorrow there's two. By the way, intern Noe of Outdrink the Coverage will be joining me tomorrow for the 2 4A games. But for today, it's 3 games, and they can almost basically run up against each other. And so at some point, you're probably going to see me eating, depending on how I'm able to get food done before everything starts. Welcome, everybody. If you're new to this, we're pretty new to this. Now, intern Noe and I had done a couple of these on on Outdrink the Coverage, and we had really good. We did a live NFL draft. In fact, that was the very first live show we did here on L4 Media, and we've done 2 Monday Night Football watching parties like this, and had a blast and had great numbers. And in fact, Noe will be again coming tomorrow for the 4A games, but he'll also be back in studio on Monday, and we're going to watch the Eagles and Seahawks in here. Going with the dark lighting during the games. Probably will keep it like that. Just prefer it, especially, again, doing all this recording for these shows that light gets a little hot even in a cold day. I'm a very hot-natured person, and Grant and intern Noe can tell you that usually when you come to my studio, you're probably going to be cold. I actually have a window unit. I have a really nice air conditioner in the house, but in the studio, I have a window unit because of all the equipment that's going on. I keep it on whenever I'm not in here, and then when I come in here to record, I keep it on to the very last moment. I even had the fan, a little desk fan, running last night because it kind of got warm in here. Since they're still in a couple more minutes before the start, we're going to take a quick break because, believe me, I'm going to be talking a ton this afternoon. So we'll be right back on Albany versus Mart. Watch party. Is your demanding work lifestyle in need of fire-resistant clothing that can keep up? Well, L4FR clothing should be your go-to for quality, affordability, safety, and style. L4FR was founded by a third-generation oil field worker who is also a veteran. Thus, this company has a deep appreciation for reliability and longevity, all while we provide first-rate customer service. Our durable apparel will serve you well for many years to come, whether you're working on a pipeline, a lineman climbing utility poles, or in any other environment requiring fire-resistant apparel. L4FR has you covered. Our apparel is tough enough to resist hazardous conditions while still providing high comfort and style. L4FR provides clothing options to ensure your safety and comfort, whether you're on the job or not. To view our complete inventory of flame-resistant garments, please visit our online store at l4frclothing.com or give us a call at 817-757-4935. Si habla español. L4 Media. We talk high school football, 4A, 3A, and 2A in Texas. We talk East Texas sports. We talk NFL, guy talk, movie, and booze. We also talk wrestling and so much more. So like and subscribe and check us out. All right. Almost to kickoff time. They just did the coin toss at midfield. Excuse me. Mart this year is in their home uniforms with a white helmet, the purple jerseys. Last year they were flipped. Again, this is a rematch. This was one of the games that between Coach X, between Grant, between Matt Diggs and others, I felt was one of the most split. This one, Franklin and Malakoff, even though I think a lot of people started leaning more towards Malakoff Franklin as the week got closer, or the game got closer, or the day got closer, however you want to say it. And then Anna and Chapel Hill. I think this one, Matt Diggs has the 21 or the whole philosophy of that. Last year was a 21-point game, so has Mart made that up plus? I get the idea with that. I don't agree with it necessarily because, again, they start at 0-0. But I get the idea, especially when you see, like this year, it seemed like a lot of the rematches, the scores were almost the exact same. Like Garrison and Timpson, it was, 35-23 in district and then 35-26 in the playoff game. Timpson won both of them, or maybe it was flipped. But either way, I get it. I just don't necessarily agree, especially when you're talking about a year later. Albany will be kicking off. Again, I will not be giving complete play-by-play. I can't do that. And we won't be showing any of the game. We're just here to talk, and I'm hoping you're watching the game. But I will be giving updates as Mart's going to get a nice return to start things. And that's a good way for the Panthers to start. I will be sharing the stat page. In fact, we'll get that going right now. Now on this, it was a little behind, and I'm a little behind if you're watching the game live. I'm a little behind on the broadcast as far as where the plays are and stuff, and as far as how I see it, just because I'm streaming it and then I'm saying it and then I'm streaming it. Demontrell Medlock, the quarterback for Mart's, had a really solid year, and they're going to try to go deep early. And on the very first offensive play, Albany gets the interception. So Mart ruins a great start with the kickoff, and Medlock didn't throw many interceptions. I can't remember exactly how many. I think this might be his second interception of the year. And what a great job by the cornerback staying inside on was just a basic go route, or we used to call the fly route. And he stayed inside. And if, Medlock threw the ball towards the numbers. If he'd have thrown it outside the numbers, he'd have gave his guy a chance. But now, just like that, Albany gets their first possession of the game. So it's basically like Mart kicked off to Albany both halves. Chip Chambers is going to throw the ball, and it's going to be an incomplete, and the physicality is already evident as Mart came to play. And, Mart seeking revenge, and it's weird. We talk about how great Mart has been, over the last 15 years, but the last 4 years they've gone unbeaten, but they can't clinch that state championship. Losing twice, once to Windthorst, once to Albany. Of course, Falls City beating them in that big upset in the state semifinals a couple years ago. Second down and 10 for Albany. They don't get much there. I'll be checking my phones at times. Sorry. I'm trying to get all the chat stuff to where I get used to how to do the chat, but that's the hardest one. Because the chats go really weird because we're on Facebook, we're on YouTube, we're all over, and I'm supposed to have this spot where I can check the chats, but it's just confusing of where the chats are. I do see John Michael Parker. How you doing there, sir? Third down and long for Albany, and they're going to overthrow it. So even though Mart threw an interception, Albany goes 3 and out. And you can make the case that Mart might have better field position after this play, as Albany's going to have to punt. John Michael Parker says that he's repping Albany. He's in the in the YouTube chat, the Yahoo chat. And Mart's going to fair catch the punt. So far, 2 possessions, really 1 play for Mart, and then 3 plays for Albany. And it kind of feels like this is going to be a defensive battle. I feel like we're going to have some big plays, but you're going to have mostly defensive battle. And sorry, the title's wrong on this. Again, just a human operator error. So if you're seeing it say Class 3A Division I, that's the second game of the watch party day. This is the first one. Mart now with their second attempt on offense, and they're going to get a big play across the 50 and a first down. So people that are in the chat, what are y'all's thoughts on teams now having helmets that have different things on either side of it? I kind of like it. I like how you can get the state of Texas and the Mart Panther logo on one side, but then get the old 90s script Panthers on the other side. I think it's a cool way to get different looks on your helmets when you can't be like Oregon and have 75 different helmets. So far, that Mart offensive line is doing a really good job opening up the inside gaps. Joshua Brown on Facebook says Mart's going to lose. Well, we'll see. I think a lot of people feel that Albany is going to win. Looks like we're going to have our first flag of the game. Legal procedure on Mart, so they'll go back 5. So, John Michael Parker, are you an Albany fan year-round, or are you just rooting for Albany now because they're West Texas? What team are you repping? In fact, if you're listening to this and you're in a chat, tell me what team you're repping if it is not Albany or Mart. It'll be now 2nd and 8 Scoreless first quarter here. And again, Mart's just going right up that middle at A gap. Holly fan. Overton. What a season by Overton, by the way. Congratulations on the Mustangs. I have a soft spot for them. Back when I first got out of college and was broadcasting, I worked for a company out of Canton, and we did a game of the week, and I got to do an Overton game. They were having another good year back then, and it was real fun to do. I always had a soft spot for them since then. Great season by the Mustangs. Mart on third down is going to get a big first down, and Mart now knocking on the door. We got an El Dorado fan. Excuse me, Mr. Parker. I say it wrong sometimes because being from East Texas, Arkansas has El Dorado, Arkansas, but El Dorado Eagles. We got Wink Wildcats. We've got Sonora Broncos in the house. So we already got some West Texas. We got Overton and East Texas. And this is why we love doing this. So 8:26 left in the first quarter. Mart is with the ball moving pretty well. And again, mainly doing it just in between the guards right now. Sometimes the score sheet that we have up, I noticed last night, sometimes it would be almost ahead of me, and then other times it'd be way behind. Like right now, it's about 3 minutes behind. It's 7:50 left in the first quarter. It's second down and 9. Oh, man, great defensive pursuit right there. Mart was trying one of their wide receiver screens or step back throws, as some people are calling it now. It wasn't really a screen. She didn't have a lot of blockers out there, and there was at least 6 Albany Lions right around there. Showing the stat right now that Albany has 4 different guys with at least 100 tackles. Of course, Jackson Hole being the one that everybody knows about. I will say this. Coaches and how they count tackles, that can vary so much from school to school. Sometimes it's hard to trust the tackle stats. Third down and long, and Mart's going to try to throw for the end zone. It's going to be incomplete. If you see me moving around a lot, it's because I'm kind of watching this. I have a TV over here in the studio, but I have my laptop right here as Mart's going to attempt a field goal, and they're going to make it. So with 6:51 left in the first quarter, Mart strikes first as the Panthers lead the Lions 3-0, and we'll be right back in just a second. Is your demanding work lifestyle in need of fire-resistant clothing that can keep up? Well, L4FR clothing should be your go-to for quality, affordability, safety, and style. L4FR was founded by a third-generation oil field worker who is also a veteran. Thus, this company has a deep appreciation for reliability and longevity, all while we provide first-rate customer service. Our durable apparel will serve you well for many years to come, whether you're working on a pipeline, a lineman climbing utility poles, or in any other environment requiring fire-resistant apparel. L4FR has you covered. Our apparel is tough enough to resist hazardous conditions while still providing high comfort and style. L4FR provides clothing options to ensure your safety and comfort, whether you're on the job or not. To view our complete inventory of flame-resistant garments, please visit our online store at l4frclothing.com or give us a call at 817-757-4935. Si habla español. So far, Mart, after throwing the very first play for an interception, then held Albany 3 and out, got the punt, and drove down and got a field goal. And then in a game where points feel like they're going to be at a premium, I think that's a good start for them, again, especially after throwing the interception. That was an 8. Sorry, having some trouble there. There we go. That was an 8-play, 41-yard drive for the Panthers. Armando Chavez with the 38-yarder. So it feels like the game has kind of started about like we thought it would be. Joshua Brown, are you asking who I rep? By the way, we see the Hamilton Bulldogs are here. Got a lot of different fans in here. This is awesome. This is why we wanted to start doing this when we came over here. Interact more with our folks, the people that are listening. This has been our first year to do 2A as a complete coverage from beginning to end. Joshua, I'm from Marshall, Deep East, Texas. I've been covering 3A and 4A football predominantly since 2004. Our show Sideline to Sideline has been around since 2007. We used to do old 2A, and then when everything changed and 1A became 6-man, we went to 3A and 4A, and we actually did 5A for a year. And then we started doing just 3A and 4A as far as for Sideline to Sideline. And then when we made the move over here to L4 Media last year, or technically literally the last day of the year is when we made it official. That's when we decided to add 2A. Yeah, it's hard for everybody to get valleys. I use the app. I mean, that's one of the great things about doing this as a profession. I can write it off on taxes. But it frustrates me too. And I'm also a really big Stars fan and Dallas Maverick fan, and I like to watch all that. And so it makes it worth it. But for people that only want to use it for high school, it's just so expensive, and then you can't find it on any real cable company. So Albany gets the ball for the second time. Well, thank you, Kevin Pack, for listening to the show each and every week. Hey, and don't forget, it's realignment year, so we're going to be having a ton of shows on realignment. Starting in February. Now, we're not going to do any like mocks or anything like that. I'm not real big into that. I do love realignment day to find out where everybody does end up. Second down, and Albany's going to gain about 4 yards. So it's going to be about a 3rd and 3, 3rd and 4. Boy, I'll tell you one thing. The spammers now, just absolutely ridiculous. We're going to have movement. It was going to be 3rd and 2, but Albany moved early, so now it's going to be 3rd and 7. Well, Albany thinks it's going to be offsides. The officials are talking about it. Fun fact, co-host Grant Goodwin used to actually be a football official. Well, they have been talking about this for a lot. Finally, they're going to say Albany false start, so the Lions will be backed up. Coach Denny Faith is letting the officials know he's not happy with that call. I think he's saying that Mart is simulating the snap or simulating the quarterback calls. He's looking up at the screen, pointing it to the official. So I think he feels that Mart is creating the false start. But either way, it's 3rd and 7 now for the Lions at their own 41. Ball's going to be thrown, bounced up into the air, and it's going to be an interception. I didn't mean to do play-by-play there, but Mart with the big interception. So we've already seen both teams have turnovers. And that ball just bounced right off the wide receiver's hand, straight up in the air. And Mart gets the big interception. And for them, this interception gives them great field position. For Albany, they got the interception, but it wasn't great field position. So first down at 10 with 5:18 left here in the first quarter. Mart has the ball at their own 45. And again, they're just going right up the middle, man. That's all they've been doing since that second drive. Again, that first drive ended on the first play with an interception. Been a pretty fast-moving first quarter. 4 minutes and 48 seconds left. Mart's going to get a big play for a first down inside the 40, inside the 35. As Richard Green with the big gain. Biggest gain by either team so far. And you could kind of see this being set up. They've been hitting that middle, and then they hit him on a little bit of a jet sweep. That defensive end pinched in, and as soon as he pinched in, Green had him. And so it's first down now, officially at the 32-yard line. So to the Overton fan, do y'all have a lot coming back this year? I heard y'all are pretty young. Second down and 9 now for Mart in Albany field position. In territory, I mean, excuse me. And we get a sack now. Last two plays, Albany's done a really good job of getting into the backfield. Have you heard any rumors of who y'all will be playing, Kevin Pack? This is going to be a big third down here. Mart started this drive off well, but now it's 3rd and 13. That was Adam Hill on the sack. Again, what I love about 2A, 3A, and in some 4As in Division 2 is your star running back's also going to be your star linebacker, star or defensive lineman. And once again, Albany, 3 straight plays, 3 straight great jobs of getting into the backfield. Kind of selling out there. We'll see if Mart tries to make them pay. But man, we saw Timpson doing that last night. Man, they were shooting those gaps so well. Those linebackers just did such a good job, never letting Toller get anything going. So Mart's going to do the odd punt the ball from Albany's 38-yard line. And it's going to be a short punt. And it's going to take an Albany bounce. So it's going to be like a 7-yard punt. Mart would have actually been better off just going for it right there. I'm curious to see what Jim Ned's going to look like this year, man, or next year. I really hated it for them. Injuries hit them, and it feels like that's how it's been for the last 3 years now. But especially this year, it felt like they were back in 3A, and then their quarterback hurt his knee, and they still made the playoffs and all, but they went from what I thought was a true Region 1 threat to just being a playoff team. And Lubbock Roosevelt, they came back this year. For those that care, college news. Texas Longhorn quarterback Malik Murphy is going to transfer. No shock there with Archie being the number 2 and Quinn Ewers having such a great year that I think Malik Murphy's very talented. I think he's going to go somewhere and be a really good quarterback. I'd love to see him go to like a UTSA as long as Jeff Traylor's still there, and the things he could do there, I think would be really, really special. Yeah, Roosevelt was good this year. And if I'm not mistaken, they were running that option a couple years ago when they made that deep run. Them and Abernathy had those back-to-back games. And I think they're doing something completely different this year. But, yeah, they bounced back from a couple bad losses in district and then got on a nice little playoff run. Now, part of that also is where they're at and the path for them. And when they ran up against Wall, you saw how good Wall was defensively. But still, a 9-4 year for Roosevelt. Pretty good year for them after last year going 4-7. I think it was the year before is when them and Abernathy had those 2 big battles. So Albany will take over now. First down and 10. They trail 3-0 here. Haven't really got to see Adam Hill get going, as he's going to get a couple yards there. I got to start talking so much about all the other football, I almost forgot we were having a game. 2nd and 7 now. And another tipped incompletion. Both offenses just a little bit discombobulated to start the game right now. So it's going to be 3rd and 7 just like that. It doesn't feel like Albany's barely had the ball, but I mean, it's not like Mart. Mart's had the one drive where they got the field goal. But this is a big 3rd and 7 with 1:28 left. All of a sudden, this quarter's kind of started dragging. And another ball off the hands of the receiver, incompletion, and it'll be 4th down. Hey, Steve, Bally's is the only way you can actually stream the game. Do not pay attention to any of these spammers. Try to block them as soon as I see them, but it's kind of hard when you're trying to watch the game and keep up stats and all that fun stuff. I got a flag on the punt. I think we're going to have either offsides or illegal procedure because it stopped the play. Be a legal procedure on Albany, so I'll back them back up 5 more yards. This has been a very un-Albany start to the game with a turnover, a couple of flags. And you got to wonder, is it partly due to the 11 a.m. start? A pretty good punt here. We'll take a neutral bounce. And then slowly a little bit of an Albany bounce, and Mart will take back over. And you do have to wonder if the 11 a.m. start is part of this. Yes, Steve, we will be doing a watch party all day today, and for the 2 4A games tomorrow. That's where my year ends, as we only cover 2A, 3A, and 4A football. So we're gonna have 3 watch parties today, including this one, of course. And then intern Noe is going to join me tomorrow for the 2 4A games. So you're more than welcome to hang around with us. So Mart takes back over now, and first play is going to be a late hit. Boy, Albany just bailed Mart out there. As a good job again of Albany. They've made some adjustments defensively after that first drive, but a late hit, and it was close, but a late hit's going to give Mart 15 more. I like how these spammers now, they're trying to act like they're human. So now they say, like, good luck or go. Like, where are we supposed to go? I know where you're going. You're going to the block list. Oh, supposedly Dave Campbell's Texas Football's in here promoting their illegal stream. How dare they? Oh, man. So that's the third penalty on Albany for 25 yards, and we're not even out of the first quarter yet. Mart leads 3-0. 1st and 10 for the Panthers, just outside of Albany territory. And boy, Albany, we talked about that first drive when Mart got the field goal, and then the drive after for the first couple plays, they were doing a real good job working that interior run game. But Albany's really done a good job the last about 6 plays of bottling that up. And we have another flag. All sports schedule. Good luck to you as you have been banned. We had a hold on Mart. Man, that was a late call or a late recognizing that there was a flag by the officials. So that'll back Mart up for 10 yards and be 1st and 20 now. Trying to hit the outside with that little step back wide receiver screen, and not much, about 4.5 yards. So it'll be 2nd down and probably about 16, I think. And that should, unless they just want to run a play with 15 seconds left. Yeah, Mart's going to let the quarter in. So the first quarter is going to end. Mart's going to be up 3-0. We'll take a quick break, and we'll be right back for second quarter action. Albany versus Mart. The watch party, sideline to sideline. Are you an athletic director or coach looking to make your locker room pop, looking to refresh your look, looking to redo your brand? Well, check out SI Design and Printing. They're going to transform your sports organization, athletic facilities into what you're looking for by enhancing the student athlete experience, boasting the brand, and honoring your past. They do that with banners, backlit signage, locker graphics, window graphics, fence mesh graphic designs, and so much more. If you need a refresh, SI Design is going to help you do that. Check them out online, sidesign.net. And hey, if you're a parent or a grandparent, they've got something for you as well, as SI Design is the leading provider of custom sports prints. They offer a variety of products, including posters, banners, canvases, and more. All you have to do is upload your high-quality studio or action shot, and SI Design will create the memory for you. For more information, all you have to do is go to their website, sidesign.net/sports prints, and you'll get all the information that you need. You can also find them on Facebook. Just type in SI Design and Printing. Give them a call, 254-405-9492, or you can email them, info@sidesign.net, and tell Kyle that's sideline to sideline. See. L4 Media. We talk high school football, 4A, 3A, and 2A in Texas. We talk East Texas sports. We talk NFL, guy talk, movie and booze. We also talk wrestling and so much more. So like and subscribe and check us out. All right, as we start the second quarter, the broadcast has Coach Kevin Hoffman's stats up. Fastest coach to 100 wins in UIL history. Of course, the 3 state titles back to back to back. But since then, it seems like they've been upset. And I wouldn't call last year's an upset, but, Windthorst, of course, with the big upset in 2020, 22-21, and then losing to Fall City. And then last year losing to Albany. And Grant and I talked all year long on the 2A show. It's kind of weird how everybody just kind of, I don't want to say forgot about them, but just, they weren't talked about as being a team that could win state. And here they are up 3-0 as we begin the second quarter. And once again, Albany's defense has just absolutely come to life over the last 3 possessions. It's now going to be 3rd and 16 for Mart. Everybody, good luck. Good luck in the chat from all the spammers. It's good luck and go. I don't know what go is supposed to mean. 3rd down and 16 now. Mart's in a lot of trouble. Medlock's able to escape it. And he almost threw an interception. I say almost threw an interception. It was dangerous as he was trying to throw the ball away, but it kind of floated for a minute. If you saw how Malakoff beat Brock last week with a big interception like that, where the quarterback was being pressured, he tried to throw it away and the ball kind of got popped up. That's almost what happened here, but for Medlock, the ball went out of bounds. It looks like we have a flag, I guess. Again, I don't have the sound on for the broadcast. I've only got the video. Let's see what the call is here. Intentional grounding is the call. So that'll back it up about 10 yards, I think, on the spot from where they're going to punt now. So it's going to be fourth. Actually, it'll be 15 yards. It'll be 4th and 31. Matt Diggs and I talked about this on on the preview show, that this had the chance for being a very low scoring game. A line drive punt that will be returned up to the 45-yard line. So now the Lions have done a good job of flipping the field after Mart seemed to be living in good territory for most of that first quarter and only able to get 3 points out of it. You got to see if that's going to end up coming back to bite them. 3 of the top 4 coaches with the most wins in all of Texas high school football active are playing for a state championship. Of course, Denny Faith here, Reginald Samples of Duncanville, and then Larry Hill of Smithson Valley. Boy, they had a run back in the early 2000s that only South Lake Carroll seemed to be able to beat them. Adam Hill is going to break out, and he's got a big gain. In fact, the Albany Lions have just scored the first touchdown of the game. I don't even think he was touched. And we just talked about Mart not taking advantage when they had good field position. Albany did take advantage, and we finally got to see Adam Hill break out there with the big gain. You kind of wonder now if the bow just broke. Because unless Mart does something offensively, Albany's just started to dominate them on that front. They're just having their way with the Mart offensive line the last few possessions. Again, we'll be here all day, mainly me. After this one, it'll be Malakoff versus Franklin, and what again I think is going to be one of the possibly most closely contested game. Then we're going to have Gunner and Tidehaven, and then tomorrow the two 4A teams. Kevin Pack's right. Once Hill's out in the open, he's gone. Texas Tech, Joey McGuire, they've got him coming in. I think he's a guy that can be an impact player for Texas Tech. I think Texas Tech is in a really good spot now with what the Big 12 is going to become. I don't know if Texas Tech could ever truly compete money-wise with the A&Ms and the Texas of the world. But, Mike Leach kind of had it figured out. Spike Dykes had it kind of figured out on, you're not trying to, you want to win a national championship. You want to do all that. But if you're trying to go up against the 5-star recruits and you're losing them, what's the point? You're wasting time. How about do like what TCU did and go for the really good 3As and the 2As and the 4As and get those 3-star recruits and develop them. And that's just as good as getting a 5-star recruit not developed. That's, at Texas, that's been the knock on them until now. For the last 10 years is they got the same players. They still got great players, but they didn't develop them. These guys went in as freshmen and came out as seniors and basically played about the same. Pat Kerrigan on TV right there. If you're watching the game, he's the old fart to the right taking pictures. Longtime friend of the show. Yeah, Chandler Myers. I was trying to think of him, and there's a couple other ones. Oh, yeah, the Albany Barrel. They never stop hitting it during the playoffs. That's pretty cool. So Albany will be kicking off as they lead now 7-3. There's a Madisonville guy that's going to Texas Tech too. I think it's going to be really, really good. Return for Mart up to the past the 20 and not much further. What's up, Mavs fan? 815. I don't know why that made me giggle. Probably because I'm working on about 2 hours sleep right now. So Mart's offense, they've been working on about 2 hours sleep the last few drives. They started out the very first play, they threw an interception. But then their next drive, they had a really good drive. They got the field goal. And then the next drive, it started out really good. And then since then, Albany's defensive line has just dominated them. That's NETSN, Brett. That's Mavs fan. I'm going to assume you're not a Marshall Mavs fan because you're a Chapel Hill sellout. I'm assuming that's a Dallas Mavs fan. Brett chest thumping over Bussey and Timpson last night. What a performance! And Brett, we had talked about it on the preview show. Timpson did what we thought they would do, score, but we all thought Toller would score too. And man, that Timpson defensive effort, we were talking about that earlier, the linebackers, and nothing against, who won the defensive player of the game, because there could have been 3 or 4 of them. But man, 56 just had a heck of a game for the Bears, as once again, the Albany defense bottles up Martin. It's now 3rd down. But those linebackers last night, so aggressive. Ooh, that could have been incomplete. I don't think it really matters. Again, don't forget, in the state championship game, there is instant replay. So they might want to take a look at this. It'll be 3rd down and 6 if they don't. And you kind of feel like this game's the worm's turning a little bit here. If Mart cannot get a 1st down, Albany already has 4 tackle for losses. Yeah, now they're going to call we're going to call a timeout. Mart wants to talk about it, Coach Hoffman. I think he's realizing And I know it's early, but this is a really, really important down right here for Mart, because Albany's starting to figure some things out offensively. And you don't want to get down to a team like Albany. Oh, they're going to do an official review, so that means that the Mart timeout will be given back to them. Yeah, Kevin, you're right. They did, and they had other injuries. And I tell you what, though, people need to realize, I think that's a catch. What a great job right there. First off, great camera work. JJ Garner played quarterback when Bussey was out earlier in the year, and he played really, really well. And then the wide receiver that had the big 97-yard touchdown, he's a sophomore. So there's this idea that, Timpson's going away now. No, they're not. Now they're going to have to find a new coach with Therwanger retiring and all that. And they are calling it a catch. But yeah, Timpson's going to be at least a region threat, if not more, next year as well. I'm curious to see if they're going to go higher within on that. At halftime, we're going to play one of our new shows as Mart's facing a third down. And we talked about they really need a first down, and Medlock's going to get them that great scramble by the quarterback. Oh, he took a hard hit at the thighs. Let's see if he's okay. He gets up a little bit gimpy, but I think he's going to be fine. But we're going to play a little bit of one of our new shows called Beyond the Sport, where Tish Lee talks to athletes and coaches about their walk in faith as they play sports and how they try to navigate that world up between the two. Also talked to Coach Jake Johnson of Millsap about his battle with cancer. That's going to be up. In fact, I think that's actually live now at L4 Media Company on YouTube. 8:47 here in the second quarter. Albany's up. I keep wanting to say Albany. Albany's up 7-3 over Mart. Mart finally, though, starting to drive. They picked up their first down in 3 possessions. So second down and 7. Mart trying to go back up the middle, but Albany's not having it now after they had some success doing that in the first couple drives. Third and 5 now. And it's going to be an inner catch. It's going to be a catch. Was there a flag? I thought there was a flag. So there's a little bit of debate on if it was a catch or not. Both guys went up for the ball. There was a fight for it. Looks like the ball might have hit the ground. Let's see from this angle. The ball's bouncing around. Yeah, I think that's close though. The receiver for Mart has his arms on it. The ball does hit the ground, but the ball can hit the ground as long as there's control. Now, I don't know if they're going to call it control because he kind of had it pinned down over on his elbow up against his hip. Now, the call on the field was a catch. And so, a lot of times the call is the most important thing, because if it's not completely refutable, they're going to just go with what was called on the field. I think it's going to be called incomplete, but I could see how Again, the ball does touch. Yeah, it moves around a little bit. I have a feeling this is going to be called incomplete. Yep, incomplete, 4th down. So Mart got a 1st down, but now they're having to punt again. I have to wonder if maybe they're going to dial something up right here. They're at least lining up to punt, but their up back is their quarterback. We saw Toller last night use their running back as an up back, and he ran for a 1st down. But no, Mart is going to punt it. And again, a terrible punt. In fact, it's going to lose yards. So once again, Mart might as well have gone for it. Another big break for the Lions, and they'll start this drive off in great field position. And it feels like they're starting to heat up, at least on the ground. Adam Hill so far, 58 yards, 1 touchdown. Now, to be fair, 52 of those came on one play. So the first 3 times he had the ball, he hadn't got a lot. But since, about halfway through the first quarter, it just feels like Albany's defense has figured things out and the offense is really starting to struggle for Mart. Everybody's saying go. What's a Dayton public school? I don't think you're real or you're blocked. Brett Lee says banger of a game so far. Brett Lee owns L4 Media. It's definitely not quite as action packed as last night was. Saw a 97-yard touchdown pass, which was a 2A record. And then Bussey ran for a 93-yard touchdown run, which was a 2A record. And you felt bad for Toller because, by proxy, not because of anything they did, but by proxy, they kind of were the bad guys of the game because Timpson in of itself was a great story. And of course, Terry Bussey, if you don't know, read the article that Carter Yates wrote on Dave Campbell's about him. Just his life story in of itself is amazing. And I kind of felt bad for Toller because they were there at the game for the first time too. And so for them to kind of get taken in this, put in the back seat, I felt kind of bad for them. But at the end of the day, it was great to see Timpson and Terry Bussey getting that crowning moment and winning that state championship that had eluded him. Because it just wouldn't have felt right if he would have ended his career without a state championship. With as dominant as he was, as just one of the greatest players, not only at the 2A level, all of Texas high school football, it does feel good that he actually got the state championship. All right, we're coming back to play now. Adam Hill split wide out now, and they will do this occasionally. They'll throw to the opposite side, though. A nice completion is going to get them a 1st down. So with 7:09 left here in the first half, Albany's up 7-3, and they get a nice start to this drive. Second down and 1, actually. I thought he got the 1st down. Early movement there is going to back Albany up. The one interception and the flags have been really the only negatives for the Lions. I think this will be what their 6th flag. Actually, did they not call a flag? Well, showing both the coaches, but again, I don't have the sound on. So now the officials are getting together to talk. Well, that took a long time. I don't think anybody really knows what they're talking about. It looked like there was early movement on the offensive line. Huh. So all that, it was just the first down. So 6:35 left here in the second half, or in the second quarter. Albany with a first down in Mart territory, looking to add to their 7-3 lead. Oh, what a move by Adam Hill right there. It looked like he was going to be brought down in the backfield. He reversed direction and ends up almost getting a first down. And he's really starting to run downhill. And this goes back to what we talked about. You know, Mart had the opportunities in the first quarter with good field position to put more than 3 points on the board. They couldn't. And now, I mean, it almost feels like if the Lions score a touchdown here, can Mart even, can Mart even get to 14 today? Great open field tackle right there. Second quarter winding down, 6 minutes left. Albany up 7-3. Come out in the old school pistol with an H back. You call him a tailback, depending on the side. Going to do a toss sweep. Oh, what a great open field tackle for a huge loss. Usually when Adam Hill is 1-on-1 with a defender, Adam Hill's going to win 9 times out of 10. This time, though, great open field tackle. And Albany lost 7 yards on that play. It's now 2nd and 16. Adam Hill goes split back out again. 5 minutes left here in the second quarter. Going to throw it again to the opposite side. Kind of feel like they're trying to set something up right there. Like they're going to keep looking one way and then eventually they're going to flip it over. Chambers now on the day, 4 of 10 for 24 yards and the interception. Kason Fairchild has all of the yards and receptions. Great block right there. Great block by Bill, the other wide receiver. 3rd down and 10 now. And they throw it to the end zone and incomplete, trying to hit Adam Hill. He's complaining about there should have been a call. There was no call. Contact both sides right there. Good no call by the officials. Both guys had their arms around each other's shoulders. And so we're going to see a field goal attempt by Albany with 4:16 left. Kick is up, and the kick is good. Oh, no, it died. Oh, I thought it went through, but it died at the last moment. Man, that just had such backspin that it hit an apex and then just kind of just dropped. And Mart man, you kind of feel like that might be a game-saving drive if they can do something here with 4 minutes left in the second quarter. Albany had all the control right there and was driving down, but that talked about that open field tackle. It was Zach Medlock, brother of the quarterback Montreal, and just that completely changed that drive. So now it's 1st and 10 for the Panthers. They're going to try that little throw out screen, and this time he has some room, going to get a first down and more. And just like that, Mart's on the move. Green with the reception right there. Richard Green, who leads them in rushing on the year, but they also split him out like they did right there. Hand off to Green, and he's found another little bit of a lane, and all of a sudden, Mart's looking like they found something. So 3:39 left here in the first half. 2nd and 2 for the Panthers. They're down 7-3. Class 2A Division II state championship. The last 2A game of the year, as Mart will get a first down. First and 10, a fumble. Oh, Medlock was trying to throw the ball, and the ball slipped out of his hand. Oh, my goodness. That is killer right there. I'm assuming they're going to review it, but yeah, the ball just slipped out of his hand as he reached back to throw it. And that's his 2nd turnover. Oh, yeah, that's definitely a fumble. Oh, my goodness. That is killer right there. Right when it seemed like Mart was starting to figure something out again offensively, an unforced turnover. And now Albany, with 2:45 left, have the ball at the Panther 41-yard line, up 7-3. This has been an ugly game. And yeah, there's been some good defense, but there's been a lot of bad offense with penalties, 3 combined turnovers. But that's sometimes what happens when you have 2 great teams play each other. They neutralize everything that each other do, and it's usually the broken plays, the mistakes, that'll end up deciding it. 2nd and 6 now. Has a wide open receiver. Bill's going to make the catch, and the Albany Lions are going to score a touchdown. That was a weirdly designed play, as basically half the team for Albany stopped on the right side. It looks like they were trying to set up a screen. It didn't get developed, but Chambers wasn't being rushed, so he took his time, looked around, and he found Bell for 37 yards in the touchdown. So once again, Mart turnover leads directly to Albany points, and this game is, I know it's only 14-3, but Mart's got to figure something out offensively. And the sad thing was is they were starting to move that last drive before the unforced turnover. So the Lions trailed 3-0 after 3 possessions, but it's been all Albany since then, as they now lead 14-3 with 1:58 left here in the first half. Again, we'll be having 2 more watch parties today. Malakoff versus Franklin in the Class 3A Division 1, and then Gunter versus Tidehaven in the Class 3A Division 2. And if you had Tidehaven on your scorecard to make the state championships, I'm going to either say you're a Tidehaven fan or great call. Now, we thought at the beginning of the year, I think we had them playing both in the region final again and losing, because that's what had happened the last couple of years. But that thrilling overtime victory, in fact, it was back-to-back overtime victories for Tidehaven against Poth and against Dangerfield. 2 games where they were the prohibitive underdog too. So Mart will get a return here from the 5 and not get much more, up to maybe the 16. And we have a flag. That's usually going to be on the kick return team. Oh, excuse me. I've got the yawnsies. Partly because of this game. This has been an ugly game. And I'm all for great defensive games. I've seen some great defensive battles in my life. And some of that's this, but a lot of it's also just, it's been a mistake-prone game. But like we talked about, that happens a lot when it's 2 really good teams. We always think of the classic great games, and it is going to be a penalty on Mart. So that's going to back them way up. And Albany has all 3 of their timeouts, so they could be wanting some more points if they really want to push this right now. And you got to feel, I mean, I already feel being down 14-3, Mart's in trouble. But they're specifically going to be in trouble if they get down 21-3. So this drive isn't necessarily about scoring yet. It might become that, but right now it's just about getting into half, making those adjustments. Three-yard gain for Mart. Albany has called their first timeout. A lot of speculation that if Albany wins, that Denny Faith might be hanging it up. Or he might hang it up no matter what. 1 state championship in 6 appearances. Been the head coach of the Lions since 1987. His only place he's been a head coach. In fact, both of these guys, this is their only head coaching job. And both have been wildly successful. Faith with the amount of years and the wins and finally getting that state championship. And then for Mart, Coach Kevin Hoffman getting the state championships. That 3-year run, 2017, 2018, 2019, I think you can make the case that's one of the best dynasties in the history of Texas high school football. Again, at half, we're going to play some of our new podcasts. Tish Lee, Beyond the Sport, she sat down and talked with Brock running back Brett Tutter about how he handles his faith on and off the football field, in the classroom, on the weekends. It was a really, really good interview, and we wanted to play that during these extended half times. That's the one thing I don't like about high school, and I get why, but man, especially when it's the first couple months of the year and it's 98 degrees and Grant and I are on the sideline and we're just cooking. And it's like we're just sitting here waiting for the game to get started again. Mart needing to get at least a first down just to keep the ball and just to right now survive and get into the locker room. It's going to be third down deep in their own territory. Albany called another timeout. I thought he was out of bounds. It was close, though. It was right at the line. Oh, Durley. Okay. I thought one of the spammers' name was Dirty Deaudra. I was like, I think that might be one of Grant's ex-girlfriends. But it's Durley. Either way, it's blocked now. So third down and 10. Dare I say, with how bad the punting's been, this might be a game-changing play right here, because if Albany gets the ball back inside Mart's 40, I don't know if Mart can keep him out of the scoreboard. Now we're going to have a flag on Mart out of the timeout, an illegal procedure. So that'll back it up. 3rd and 7 now. Mart is at their own 11-yard line. And again, the punting has been atrocious. And we've got another stoppage of play as Kevin Hoffman, the head coach of Mart, wants to call a timeout. Man, we've had 4 seconds run off the clock in the last 12 minutes. We'll actually take a quick break and be right back. Is your demanding work lifestyle in need of fire-resistant clothing that can keep up? Well, L4FR clothing should be your go-to for quality, affordability, safety, and style. L4FR was founded by a third-generation oil field worker who is also a veteran. Thus, this company has a deep appreciation for reliability and longevity, all while we provide first-rate customer service. Our durable apparel will serve you well for many years to come, whether you're working on a pipeline, a lineman climbing utility poles, or in any other environment requiring fire-resistant apparel. L4FR has you covered. Our apparel is tough enough to resist hazardous conditions while still providing high comfort and style. L4FR provides clothing options to ensure your safety and comfort, whether you're on the job or not. To view our complete inventory of flame-resistant garments, please visit our online store at l4frclothing.com or give us a call at 817-757-4935. Si habla español. Well, we come out of the break, and Mart's going to have to punt, trying to set up. I thought at first, I'll put it this way, the offensive line blocking was so bad, it looked like it might have been a screen, but it wasn't. And so now Mart, who has struggled to punt all game, is now punting with their punter sitting with his feet inside the end zone with 1:22 left, and Albany still has 1 timeout left. This was a better punt, but still no return. Good job on punt gunner duty right there for Mart, but still Albany has the ball inside the Mart 45. 1:13 left. So far, Albany has 127 total yards on 20 plays. Mart has 101 total yards on 30 plays. So neither offense has been prolific so far. Let's see what Albany does here. 1st and 10 with 1:13 left in the half. Look like they're going to go for the home run ball early. They got a guy. It's going to be incomplete. Oh, man. Fairchild had it in his hand for a minute, bobbled it, almost brought it in on a circus-style catch, but it'll be incomplete. Goes back to, you think about that Timpson-Toller game. You know, it turned out to be 49-7, but Toller had a huge drop on what would have been a sure touchdown when that game was still in doubt. And you wonder how that game might have changed if that play happened. So it'll be 2nd down and 10 with 1:05 left. And incomplete. They're trying to hit Adam Hill with a wheel route. .59 seconds, 3rd and 10. Coach Hoffman has been eerily calm today. Not that he's known for being a yeller. We're going to have movement now in Albany, so they're going to back up. So when Albany went up 14-3 and felt like they were in control, now they're starting to have some issues. A drop pass that could have been a touchdown or at least set up a 1st and goal. Now a penalty. And now Mart has a little bit of hope that they can get into the locker room down 8. Or down 11, excuse me. Ooh, the East Texas math isn't helping right now. So here we go, 3rd down and 10. A little trickeration here, and Mart is not fooled, but breaks containment. Down the sideline goes Fairchild, and wow, Mart had that all bottled up like they should. Basically did a convoluted end around with Fairchild. And he got met at the 6 yards behind the line of scrimmage, but he was able to break that tackle, outrun the other 3 Mart defenders, and get a 1st down. Huge play for Albany right there. Sometimes it's not about how great the play is, it's how great the player is. Because Mart was not fooled on that, but Case and Fairchild able to get out of that. 1st down and 10. Now they're going to throw to Fairchild, that little wide receiver screen, and he's going to weave his way to a 1st down and inside the 10-yard line. So we went from 3rd and long to now Albany's knocking on the door. And once again, Fairchild, he's the only guy. Bill has 1 reception. The touchdown for 37 yards. Fairchild has the other 6 receptions for 42 yards. Chip Chambers is quietly kind of calmed down now as they call their final timeout. Albany does. Chambers 7-15, a touchdown. Remember, he threw that interception early. Albany has 6 1st downs. Mart has 7. Albany's averaging 6.9 yards per play. Mart 3.37, and that's the difference right there. Mart's been living in 2nd and 3rd down and longs the whole game. Their offense really does not do well with that. Hey, we got some kind of achievement. We've received 100 messages today. I mean, I don't want to tell them that like 90% of them are spam, unfortunately. All right, so 26 seconds left in the 1st half. Albany's up 14-3, and they have the ball 2nd and goal, but they have no timeouts. So if anything gets tackled inside the field of play, it's going to be a It's going to be a quick drill to try to get up and spike the ball. But if you spike it, it'll be fourth down because it's second down right now. And they're going to do another little trick play right there. They're going to throw it to the quarterback, and he's going to fumble the ball. Oh, they're going to call it incomplete. Oh, they're going to call that incomplete. That was close. Now, they did Chip Chambers acted like he was going out to try to get one of his players aligned. They snapped it directly to Bill, and he threw it to Chambers. And it looked like, let me see here, Chambers puts the ball in 1-2. Boy, I tell you what, that's close to being a fumble. And Mart got clear recovery on that. I think that's a fumble. We'll have to see if they review it. So far, they're not. 19 seconds left, 3rd and goal. Well, this is a big, and now we're going to have a stoppage in play. And Mart calls a timeout, and I think a good job of calling that timeout to try to get a review because that looked like. Let's see if they review that. That was close. Back-to-back trickerization, as Grant hates to hear. And it was a good throw, and it looked like Chambers caught the ball, and they're still saying that the officials have not said they're going to do a review or not. I think it at least warrants a review. And this is huge because Albany receives the ball at the beginning of the second half. So if they were to score here, even just a field goal and go up 2 touchdowns, then get the ball back, I am really, really shocked that they have not called for a review on this. Wow. So 19 seconds left. Albany again with no timeouts. 3rd and goal. Going to throw to the end zone. And then they're going to call a penalty. Wow. Mart back-to-back, just bad luck plays right there. Let me see the replay. They're going to call pass interference on Mart. It looked to me like the feet got tangled up. I'd like to see a review of it. Yeah, there's some pushing and jostling. Yeah, he pushes off at the last. That's a borderline, but a good call, I think. So now it's 1st and goal for Albany, but again, they have no timeouts. 15 seconds left. So if they try to run the ball and they don't get in, I don't know if they'll be able to get into the playoff. Bill's going to go in motion. They're going to throw it over the middle. It's going to be a touchdown. Oh, man, Chip Chambers just whipped that ball. Great throw right there. They faked like they were going to go to Fairchild again. And Adam Hill just kind of ran a little in off that, what would you call it, the slot receiver, the H-back. And great coverage right there. Beautiful throw and a beautiful catch by Hill. And again, you see now why Texas Tech wants him. Extra point is good. And just like that, Albany is up 21-3. So with 11 seconds left here in the first half, Albany has taken control fully, 21-3. You wonder if you're Albany here, if you don't maybe try an onside kick. You got 11 seconds left. What's it hurt? Because you've definitely got them on their heels at the moment. 11 seconds left. Here goes the kickoff. And yep, they try a little squib kick. Mart grabs it. No time runs off because they fair caught it. I don't know if maybe the tee ended up all the way across to the Mart 30, so maybe he wasn't trying to squib kick. He might have turfed it. That's when your foot hits more ground. I almost said grass, but it's AT&T, so it's turf. That's when your foot hits more turf than it does ball. Usually, though, when you do that, you worm burn it. But that one popped straight up, so maybe he was trying to. All right, so let's see what Mart's going to do here with 11 seconds left. See if they try anything. Drop back. Pressure's all over him. Medlock's in trouble, trying to avoid the rush. He's literally going to run out 11 seconds. And finally, Albany gets the sack. Boy, that's a fitting in to this first half. Just an absolute fitting into this half with how it went. As Mart got the first points of the game with a field goal, but it's been all Albany since as they lead 21-3. We're going to take a break. And we're also going to play one of our new podcasts that we're very, very proud of here at L4 Media, Beyond the Sport. It's a show that Tish Lee's going to be doing where she talks to athletes, talks to coaches about their walk with faith and how they balance playing a sport, especially a sport like football that's so aggressive, how they balance their life in and outside of their beliefs. And so we're excited about that one. And she sat down with Brock running back Brett Tutter. And here's that. And we'll be back to start the second half here in a little bit.
Welcome to our first interview for Beyond the Sport. When I first had the idea to do this podcast, I ran the idea by one of our local coaches, and he gave me the name of someone that he thought should be my first interview without hesitation. Brett Tutter. I have watched him play football and run track for the last couple of years. He's had an amazing high school athletic career, but I didn't know much about his walk with Christ. But after one of the games one night, I asked him if he would like to come on my new podcast and talk about his faith. Without hesitation, he said he would love to. Well, fast forward a couple weeks, and I got to watch and listen to an FCA presentation that he gave, and it was then I knew why he needed to be my first interview. Well, welcome to my studio, Brett. I am really happy to have you here, and this is really neat because I've watched you play football for the last couple years, and you've actually got a really great athletic career going. You have been to the state championship in football and track in multiple events in track, and quite an illustrious career.
Yes, ma'am.
So something to be proud of. But we're here to talk about beyond the sport. So let's get into that. When I first broached Coach Mathis with this idea, he suggested that you be my first interview. I didn't know why, no clue why. And he just suggested it, and I'm like, okay, well, I'll make that my first interview. And I asked you, and you said yes. And a couple weeks ago, I watched a film of you giving a talk to some high school athletes at the FCA meeting you had, and I was blown away. And at the end, I was even more blown away at how you have this grasp, this knowledge of the gospel, and you were able to explain it above and beyond. And at the end, you said you were a new Christian, and I was just so blown away. But it was an amazing talk you gave to them, and that convinced me you absolutely have to be my first interview. So, Brett Tutter, we want to learn about you beyond the sport. In this case, sports plural for you. So tell us a little bit about yourself, like where you grew up and what kind of household you have and what got you into sports.
Yeah, so I've been playing sports all my life since I can remember. And I grew up in Rockingham County, North Carolina. And so we moved here, I think when I was in 4th grade. So I guess it like a switch between growing up here and there and in Brock and stuff like that. And then just since I can remember, I've always had a football in my hand. I've always been running and all that stuff. So it was kind of just like natural that I play sports, you know. And of course, my parents also pushed it that we play sports too. And then, so just got into sports pretty easily. And then, yeah.
Brock's a pretty good place to come for sports. So you get in, you're playing football, you're playing track, keeping out of trouble because that keeps you pretty busy. And seems like you're on a team with some pretty close teammates. The team seems to bond pretty well every year with each other that I see. And then, of course, on the relays and stuff that I know you're individually in the 100, but you've been on some relays. And you guys the boys always seem to bond really well together and merge together really well on the field. So as you're growing up in Brock, either on the field or off the field, did you have any models for Christianity first off in your home?
Yes. I mean, like, since I was little, my parents have always read, like, Bible stories to me and stuff like that, you know. And so I always grew up in a church. And so I didn't really learn what it meant to have a relationship with God until late into my life, not too long ago. But I always grew up like inside of a church. I was always there. We were always there on Sundays. We were always there on Wednesdays. We were there for what is it called?
Like Christmas Eve service
and all that stuff. And so I mean, we were always there. And so, but I didn't really learn what it truly meant to be a Christian until I was older.
Okay, I think that happens to a lot of people. They go to like VBS and they accept Christ into their heart. Of course, you know, they're 7 and 10 and 12, and sometimes even 13 or 14-year-olds, or even some kids at a Fellowship of Christian Athletes meeting will accept Christ, but then there's nobody pouring into them, and there's nobody helping them to grow. So you kind of come up on this, well, are they really saved? Do they really know what they're doing?
Yeah.
And have they left the old behind and embraced the new heart and started to have a relationship with Christ? So you're going through life pretty much as a Christian, but not really understanding the whole concept of the gospel and what it meant. Okay, and I'm sure your parents modeled that pretty well for you, though, regardless of whether you grasped it or not. Now, when you get into school, everybody wants to do cliques and do things and be a part of a group.
Yeah.
And of course, you're part of a football team, and then I'm sure you've got your group of friends. And do you see things? Well, I'm sure you do. But for you personally, what do you see that affects you as a Christian in school, in life, on the field even, or on the track, that you have to weigh your faith against? Do you have those moments where you have to make those decisions?
Yes. So
don't call out any names, please.
So when you're in a locker room and you're in school, of course you're surrounded by sin. I mean,
Yes.
it's everywhere. I mean, anywhere you go out into town, you go out anywhere. I mean, you see it everywhere.
Yeah.
And so that can also be tempting at times, is to join in with that, you know.
Be part of the group.
Yeah, be part of that group who's going out and doing this certain thing, going out and doing those things. And so that's when you just have to rely on the Lord. I mean, you got to trust Jesus. And you're like, although I might want to go out and have fun, I might want to go out and hang out with them, although I might not be doing that stuff, it's not good as a Christian to surround yourself with evil.
Well, what you're surrounding yourself is what you're ultimately taking in, and ultimately what you're going to partake in.
Yes.
So, if you're hanging out with people that are just doing drugs, eventually you're going to fall into that world. And so you make those decisions, and I'm sure that's hard because it's probably left you out of some things with other people. When you're playing sports, tell me how your Christian walk affects you when you're out on, whether it's the practice field or in the game.
I don't say it really affects anything, but it does change like a lot of things. You go like when you pass from death to life and all that stuff, and you go from old to new, and you're washed in the blood of Christ. You start to find yourself almost like falling away from certain things. So like you don't want any part of anything that's going on like in the locker room. It's mainly in the locker room. So I mean like you hear a lot of stuff, you see a lot of stuff, and you just like you don't want to be a part of it anymore, And so you learn to surround yourself with good people. You learn to like surround yourself in you're covered in Christ. You're trusting Christ. You're trusting His process. Mm-hmm. So you start to fall apart, or not apart, but you start to drift away from that crowd that is doing all that is sinful and doing all that stuff.
Yeah. Have you had to struggle with that, or is it something that the separation and the walking away, the turning away from, has it been a struggle at times, or is it something that you feel the Holy Spirit has helped you navigate well?
Mm-hmm. So, of course, you do have Jesus on your side telling you that this is wrong, but like He's telling you, hey, like don't do that. Like that's wrong. That kind of stuff is wrong. But it's also hard not to give in to that kind of stuff. And so when you see that kind of stuff going on, you learn to tell yourself, hey, you don't need to be around that. You don't need to. And of course, you have the Holy Spirit on you. He's telling you, hey, don't be involved in that stuff. Don't do that kind of stuff. And so you just learn to set yourself apart and just be outside the of what seems like it would be like
the influence of that.
The influence, yeah.
And I've noticed, like, after the game, you don't really congregate. I mean, you congregate as a team because, he calls you in, and Coach Mathis calls you in and gives you a talk at the end of each game, and you guys pray at the end of each game usually, and stuff. But I do notice that you're not in with the big center group of seniors all the time, and the group of people. You kind of come out, do your job, and you're like that's your job, and you're done, and you celebrate and you're happy, but you're not doing a lot of the antics some of the other kids on the side are doing and hanging out. And do you find that when you're out there that you're having to make conscious choices sometimes to avoid certain situations that come up? I mean, I'm on the sidelines right now with Taylor doing filming, and it doesn't matter if I stand on the Brock side or the other team side, I hear all sorts of things. Mm-hmm. And it extends from the stands down to the sidelines. But how does that affect you when you are hearing those things, whether it's you're on the field and it's coming from a teammate, another team player, or a player on the other team? You hear fans. I mean, one of our last games, I was photographing, and I couldn't believe some of the things I was hearing from the fans. Not on our side, thank goodness, but yeah, it was very, very intense, and I was like, wow.
I mean, there's crap talking on both sides, of course. I mean, like, and it's hard, like, being a Christian, like when you make a good play, you knock someone down, not to just get in their face and just start going at them, And so
that would be my temptation, I'm sure.
Yeah, and so you just gotta learn to just ignore it. Just let it go through one ear throughout the other, And so, I mean, just take what you know as a Christian, put it into your own life, to your own perspective, and then use that in your day-to-day life, even if it is in sports. Of course, in sports, it's hard not to get fired up. Of course, like, there's a good way to get fired up, good way to get amped up, but it's hard not just to control yourself. And so you just have to learn to, like, with all that going around you, with all the people who are talking crap to you, like, you just have to learn to just turn, like, if someone, like, it talks about it in the Bible, where if someone's to slap you in one cheek, you turn your face and let them slap you on the other. And so, I mean, you just have to do that in all aspects of life, even sports, football, track. I mean, track is not really a crap talking sport.
Oh, it is, trust me. I remember the girls.
Girls might be a different story.
Yeah, girls are definitely. We were fortunate. The girls on the team were very cohesive. It wasn't a drama team, luckily for us, with the girls or the parents. But I remember being at one track meet, and the girls were, for one of the relays, talking smack, and Tori just goes, "Guess we'll see." And then she walks by at the end, boom, mic drop. And I was like, you know, I appreciate that there was no trash talk, but one of the things I did appreciate, and we're very fortunate living in Texas, is the prayer. I do recall a lot of times seeing the girls, 4 of them especially, huddled together before the mile relay, and then I also do remember times where they had other teams that they were competing against with them in that huddle, and that was very, I don't know, just, it was like earth-shattering, like in a, just, you're proud of your kids, you're proud, you know, you're excited for them that they're doing that, and they're doing that before they even go to the starting line, and that they're including other people, and just that's where their heart was at. And so, yeah, there's trash talk on the girls' side. It's kind of probably different than the guys' side, but girls can be vicious.
Yeah, in track, I usually just make friends with everybody, like from different schools and all that stuff. I'll just go up and just start talking to them. And then I like track because it's more of a laid-back sport. I mean, like, it's not always just head-to-head. You're banging heads all the time. It's just like you go up there, you talk to them, they fire the gun, and you run, you know?
Yeah, and you're done. I mean, that's your moment. And football, you know, there's that aggression for 48-plus minutes. It's almost 2 hours by the time you do halftime and timeouts.
And so many emotions in football.
I've seen that. Luckily, you know, you've been able to come out on the positive side of the emotions for the most part, down to the end. But I want to back up a little bit before we jump towards the end. So you were saying earlier that you grew up in a Christian home, and I jumped right into the sports because I love sports. But this is more important. You grew up in a Christian home, but you didn't have, you know, the full grasp. When did you start getting that?
So when we moved to Texas, we didn't really have a church that we went to all the time. And so it took forever for us to find a church. And then so when I started dating my girlfriend, her dad happens to be the pastor at Willow Park Baptist.
Okay.
And then so I always thought that if you live a good life, you know, and like you make a few wrongs here and there, like you'll end up in heaven. When at all, that is not what the gospel teaches. And it talks, and like the main thing is justification by faith. I mean, you go into Romans, it talks about it all the time. It says, "For all has sinned and come short of the glory of God, being justified freely by His grace through the redemption that is in Christ Jesus."
Yep.
So, because He died on the cross for us, He paid that punishment that we should deserve, but He paid it for us, and because that we're allowed to go into heaven. And then so I didn't learn that until I asked Brooklyn, and so that's my girlfriend. And so I asked her one day, and we had just gotten done. I'm like, "Hey, how do you go to heaven?" You know, I asked her, and she said, "You got to know that you're a sinner. You have to know you can't save yourself. You got to know that Jesus died for you on the cross. And you got to ask Him into your heart." And I mean, it's that simple. And a lot of people think it's a lot more confusing than that. I mean, and so
they can't wrap their head around how simple it is. It's like there must be something I have to do.
And so that's the devil talking to you. He'll sit there and he'll chirp.
Oh, he does.
And he'll say, "Yeah, it's not that simple." I mean, after I got saved, like I was like a couple weeks after, and it's called and so I mean, he's just sitting there. He's like, "Yeah, that was too easy." He's like, "One prayer is not enough for you to go to heaven."
So then you're praying it again.
And so
there's actually a book, Stop. I can't remember the name of it. Stop Praying to Be Saved. Stop. I'd have to go back and look it up. But it's basically for people that keep doing that over and over.
And it happened multiple times for me. And then so I told myself at that time, I'm like, I'm not going to listen anymore. I'm not going to give into it. And so I told myself right then and there, I'm done with that. And so that spiritual warfare stopped after that. And so I know that I'm saved now. It's like being saved is one thing, but knowing that you're saved is another thing. And so you know that you're saved when the Holy Spirit talks to you. You're a changed person, and you are now a part of the children of God. You're now adopted into
His family.
That family. Yeah. And so right after salvation, that's when the adoption happens. You are now adopted.
And this happened fairly recent for you, actually.
Yes, ma'am.
According to the video I watched.
Yeah, it was February 5th, 2023. It was the day I got saved. Best day of my life.
Yeah, I can second that.
Yep.
It is an amazing feeling to say, I want to be a child of God and be part of his family. And you're right. So many people, I must do something to earn it. There must be something more. And they can't believe that it's a free gift if you just put your trust.
His grace is amazing. His grace is enough.
It is enough. It's sufficient. It's enough. It's beautiful. And there's nothing that you can do that can equal it or achieve it. And I think that's what people continue to think, well, I'm a good person. I don't do this. I don't do that. And we as humans tend to categorize sin. Well, murder is worse than stealing a glue stick. But God doesn't look at it that way.
Sin is sin.
Sin is sin, and it separates us from a holy God,
Yep.
which is what we try to explain to people and say, this is why you need the Savior to do that. Because if not, I'd be spending all day at the temple sacrificing pigeons and goats and sheep. I would never get any work done. I'd be a bloody mess. The priest would be a bloody mess. And we'd be out of birds and sheep and goats. So I, for one, am definitely thankful because it's a sacrifice I'd be making daily.
Oh, yeah.
For sure. And it's something that I know can take hold of you. So how does this guide you through your sports? You said it's helped you step away from some of the negative things that can be experienced, be it in the locker room. I know when you line up on the sidelines, not on the sidelines, but on offense and stuff, that I'm sure there's people like, I'm going to come get you, or whatever is being taunted at you. So how do you let your faith walk you through that and demonstrate to others or talk to others about that?
So I always pray for chances where I can talk to other people about Christ. And so, of course, I'm not going to just go up to someone and be like, hey, Jesus loves you. I'm not going to be that awkward person that does that. But if you pray for those opportunities, God will give them to you.
That goes with that saying, be careful what you pray for.
Yep. And so I pray for opportunities like that all the time. And then he gives them to me. And so whether it be people on the team, people outside of the team, people that are younger than me, people that are outside of school, I get moments like that all the time to talk to them. And so, I mean, I make it a goal every day that I am to talk to someone. I am to go to them, tell them about Christ. And so God gives you those opportunities like that to able to do that. So you're not just going up to them and be like, that awkward person, that weird person doesn't go up and like, hey, Jesus loves you, but he will give you that opportunity to go up and talk to him and tell him the gospel, tell them what can get them saved, tell them what it means to be a Christian and what it means to be a child of God. And so I like to focus on that a lot, rather than the sports,
Yeah, and that's why you're here. I mean, sports are awesome, sports are great, but we get sports at the grace of God, at the grace of where we live.
Yeah.
And for me, it's in my training, even not just, am I going to do a race? It's, well, should I be training? And if right now God has told me not to train.
Yeah.
So I'm sure he's kind of guided you through certain things in your own trainings. If you want to stay healthy, you don't want to get injured, or if you've had injuries or disappointments, that he's helped move you through those. So as you're talking to people, you said you've talked to people on the team. How have those people responded to you?
Usually they'll welcome it. And so usually it's people who ask me about that stuff, and so I'll gladly tell them. And so
Well, your walk is obviously noticeable then enough that they want. What's that guy got?
Yes, ma'am.
What's he got going on?
And that's one thing. I mean, being an example is a great thing, because like, you can't be a Christian and go out and live a life of sin.
That's where so many Christians get called hypocrites
Yeah,
and stuff, and it's really sad.
You see it in Romans 6, where I have it memorized, but I want to make sure I'm saying the right things. And it says it twice in here, where it says, "What shall we say then? Shall we continue in sin that grace may abound? God forbid. How shall we that are dead to sin live any longer therein?" And so people think that because God's grace is so great, and that no matter how many times you sin, that grace will grow, that they can go out, use that as an excuse to go and sin. And then
repent tomorrow and then sin again.
Yep. And if that was the case,
you haven't changed here. There's no change.
Yep. There's no passing from death to life. There's no renewing of your mind. And then also in that same chapter, is in verse 15, it says, "What then shall we sin, because we are not under the law, but under grace? God forbid." And so you see people who claim to be Christians all the time, who are living a sinful life, and they're carnally minded. They have no idea that they're lost.
And you can check the rest of that show out, Beyond the Sports, on our YouTube channel at L4 Media Company. As we're coming back in for the second half, Albany is up 21-3. And you got to wonder, basically, you kind of feel like this start will decide the game. Sorry, having a little technical issues. As you can tell, the camera has stopped. Let me get that all straight back up as we're about to start the second half. And what I was saying is you kind of got to feel like this might be the game right here. Albany gets the ball to start the second half, and if Mart gives up any points, I don't know if right now Mart can score 22 points, 23 points, 24 points. As Albany will begin inside their 35 after a solid return. But if you joined us at half and you saw that was Tish Lee talking to Brock running back Brett Tutter on her new show, Beyond the Sport, where she talks to coaches and players about their walk in faith and how they balance that with playing sports and coaching and going to school and just life. And then we also have a great episode with head coach Jake Johnson of Millsap about his battle with cancer and how he has fought through that to keep coaching, and how his family and his faith has helped him do that. So the first play for Albany was a 1-yard gain. Sorry, I'm having some technical issues as we come back out of the half. Second down and 9, 11:20 left here in the third quarter. Albany with the ball and the lead. I don't know what the record is for receptions in a game, in a state championship game, but Fairchild is already got 7 receptions, only for 46 yards, though. They've all been really short routes, and he did drop a pass earlier that would have been bigger, or a big play. But that did set up Bill for the 37-yard touchdown earlier because safeties all came in on Fairchild on his route. 3rd and 5 here. Mart really needs to get them off the field, and they'll do just that. Great pressure by Mart and a great defensive series to start things for the Mart Panthers here in the second half as they trail 21-3. As a great coach will say, you cannot get every point back in one drive. You've got to start winning the first drive, and you go from there, and that's exactly what they did, and they'll receive the ball. Depending on the punt, should be decent field position. And it will be, as it'll bounce around the 30. Where are they going to say that went out of bounds? 36-yard line. So Mart will have their first chance with the ball here in the second half as they trail 21-3. Again, we want to thank everybody for joining us here. The first of 3 total watching parties today, and then watch parties tomorrow for the 2 4A games, with preview shows, of course, being for them. Now, there's a chance that some of the preview shows, hang on, I'll talk about it after this first play, is Mart quarterback. He struggled with just the handling of the snap there, and he kind of shot putted the ball out to his receiver, but it was incomplete. Medlock has really struggled today at quarterback for Mart. But some of these preview shows might get truncated because these games run up against each other, and you don't really get a full pregame show, because most of these preview shows are running over an hour. Now, I think Restreams will let me start a second stream. We'll have to see on that part, as it's 2nd down and 10, and another just pressure in the face of Mart, and throws it into the ground, and it's going to be 3rd and 10. And you're starting to see the Mart players getting frustrated. Albany is just doing such a good job. And they're showing Metlick's hands. You got to wonder if maybe he's having an issue, like I am. It's one of those days. It's always one of those days here in the studio. That's why I love this job. 3rd down and 10, and he's going to throw the ball, kind of a shot put up, and it's going to be intercepted. Inside Mart territory, still going. Oh, what a big hit right there for the Mart lineman, and Metlick is hurt. Medlock has been just beat down today, and and he is struggling now. Just been a tough road to hoe for this Mart offense. Do want to say hi to Coach Wesley Williams out of Tatum. He's listening, and he's in the chat in Yahoo YouTube. Cameron Roseprim says, "Get that ground game going." Who are you rooting for, Cameron? You know, Albany has the lead, but it's not like they've been doing a lot either offensively. It's just been short field position Hills had one big gain on the day. It was for a touchdown. But he does what he does, and that's just grind you down. 11 carries, 77 yards, one touchdown. Of the 77, 52 came on that touchdown. At this point, though, they're just taking time off the clock. They're happy to do that. 3rd and 7 here. Going to throw for the first down. The ball's going to be almost intercepted. Great defensive play right there. That's the second or third time that Zach Medlock's had a great play. He's broken up one pass. He's had an interception, 6 tackles. Definitely been a bright spot here. I think he's a sophomore, if I remember correctly. I could be totally wrong on that, but I want to say, looking at the roster, it's 4th down now. They're going to go for it, throwing for a first down, and it's going to be incomplete. They're basically either trying to get a catch, get a interception, which would work like a punt, or get a pass interference, and they got none of them. So Mart is able to hold Albany after the interception, and they'll take over. Let's see who's going to be quarterback. Is Medlock going to come out again? And yes, no, it looks like we're going to have a different quarterback. No, it is Medlock. Excuse me. So 1st and 10 for Mart. And Medlock again fumbles the ball. I think he got it back. There is something wrong with his hand or something. He has not handled the ball at all well this game. There, it looked like it was just a mistake on the handoff as he was trying to. And he wasn't even trying to pull it out. It was a straight one-armed handoff, and the ball just kind of bounced off the running back's chest. So that really wasn't on Medlock on review. But still, I mean, just whatever's happening, he is just struggling. And now we have a flag on the play. This will be against Mart. False start. So that'll back them up 5 yards. Coach Robert Saulers is in the chat. He's talking about Adam Hill, and he's right. He's a beast, whether it be at defensive end, tailback, slot. That's what I love about 2A, though. You still get those guys like Terry Bussey. 2nd and 14, and a completion going to go all the way down to the 40-yard line, or up to the 40, depending on how you want to look at it. It's going to be 3rd down. But that, I mean, no jokes aside, it's been, 20 plays since we've seen a good snap, a good throw, a good catch for Mart offense. Cameron, a Franklin fan. That's going to be a good one today. 1st down for Mart. Of course, we have a Malakoff Franklin preview show and watch party. Right now, I have it scheduled for 2:30, but again, that'll just depend on when this game ends, so that could change. So 1st down and 10 for Mart, trailing 21-3, 6:52 left in the 3rd, and they're going to get nowhere on this 1st down. Mart just has not been able to string together multiple plays in a drive. All the way back, that first play of the game, they threw an interception. They held Albany. They got the ball, and they marched right down the field, but ended up having to settle for a field goal. But they were doing some good things. But ever since then, Albany's just really shored up that defensive front and lived in Mart's backfield. 2nd and 11 now, and Medlock's going to be sacked. Already down to 5:50 in a very fast-moving third quarter, because even though Albany didn't score after the interception, they held the ball for 2 minutes. Actually, it was 3 minutes. And at this point, I mean, I don't know where Mart's going to get their points. Throw into the slot receiver, and he wasn't even looking. He was still running his route. Medlock's just absolutely frustrated. The receiver was open too. If he looks up, he not only catches the ball, but we were just talking about lack of big plays. That was a big play. He was uncovered. Safety was coming down on him, but he wasn't going to get there in time. And it's just been that kind of game for the Mart Panthers today. 4th and 13, and they're going to have to punt. And that's been an adventure today as well. And as I say that, he's going to get his best punt of the day off. It's going to take a big bounce, going to be returned, but only for about a 1-yard gain. So Albany will get possession, but it'll be deep in their own territory. We'll take a quick break right here and be right back as Albany leads 21-3 in the third quarter. Is your demanding work lifestyle in need of fire-resistant clothing that can keep up? Well, L4FR clothing should be your go-to for quality, affordability, safety, and style. L4FR was founded by a third-generation oil field worker who is also a veteran. Thus, this company has a deep appreciation for reliability and longevity, all while we provide first-rate customer service. Our durable apparel will serve you well for many years to come, whether you're working on a pipeline, a lineman climbing utility poles, or in any other environment requiring fire-resistant apparel. L4FR has you covered. Our apparel is tough enough to resist hazardous conditions while still providing high comfort and style. L4FR provides clothing options to ensure your safety and comfort, whether you're on the job or not. To view our complete inventory of flame-resistant garments, please visit our online store at l4frclothing.com or give us a call at 817-757-4935. Si habla español. Oh, tearing it back here on the Albany versus Mart watching party. Albany leads right now. This segment being brought to you by Montana Ridge Outfitters. If you're a hunter, if you love the outdoors, then you'll love Montana Ridge Outfitters. They have a Shirt of the Month club. It's a subscriber. You get a new shirt each month with one of the top hunting ranches, guide services, or dealers from around the U.S. and around the world. Cool thing is you don't know what you're going to get till you get it. I think that's kind of cool. You can check them out online at MontanaRidgeGear.com, and we appreciate them being a sponsor. They were a sponsor of the Ponder football show. Of course, Marcus Schultz, first year there, did great things, got them onto the cusp of the playoffs. They're going to be happy that Brock's leaving. All right, we go back to play now. It's 1st and 10. Adam Hill goes around the end, gets a few yards, and gets knocked out of bounds. Coach Denny Faith, been a head coach for Albany since 1987, his only head coaching job. I joke that he's been coaching so long, he has 4 ties on his record. Oh, fumble right there. A little bit of misdirection trying to hit Adam Hill on a quick hitter, and he fumbled the ball. Albany falls on it, but it'll be a loss back to the original line of scrimmage to start this drive, 3rd and 10. ties in football. That's one of the things I'm glad they finally changed, especially in the playoffs, to win or lose a game by penetrations, or if that was tied, first downs, down to total yards, to a coin flip if it came down to it. 3rd down and 10 now for Albany. 4:20 left. Looking to throw, and the balls are going to be knocked down. So all of a sudden, Mart's defense has really reared their head here in the second half, and they're starting to flip the field. Now, again, can the Mart offense find some plays being down 21-3? That's the big question. .417 left. Mart's going to have a return here and should be set up in pretty decent position, or field position, as they'll be right at about the 49-yard line on their side. So if you're going to make hay, you got to start making touchdowns, and you kind of got to feel with how well Albany at times has held the ball that if you're Mart, you basically just need to score on every drive. It's that easy. Yeah, and you've only scored 3, but let's go ahead and score on every drive now. But, hey, that happens sometimes. We've seen it many times. A team will wake up. I need to wake up. Going to hit Green with that little wide receiver throw out. We're going to have a face mask added to it. So Mart now setting up with a 1st down and a 15-yard face mask. And just like that, they're knocking on the Lions' door. I know, Robert, it's just the streaming. Sometimes I'm behind them. Sometimes I'm ahead of them. Second and 5 now for Mart with 3:34 left in the 3rd quarter. Injured player for Albany being helped off the field. Looks more like it might be a cramp. Although we're not supposed to speculate. I do apologize. That's definitely what it is. So 2nd and 5. Mart needing points in a hurry, going back out to that wide receiver, little screen out to Green, and he's going to get near the 1st down. I think he's going to be just a foot short, so it should be 3rd and short. I don't know. There just hasn't been any sense of urgency today from Mart. Like there's 2:59 left in this quarter. 3rd down and 1, and they're not even going to get close to the 1st down. Boy, that Albany defensive line, man, it rears up whenever they need to make a big play. And if you're Mart, you got to go for it, right? I don't think there's enough time to kick a field goal and then try to get 2 more touchdowns and a 2-point conversion. They're going to try that play out to Green, and this time Case and Fairchild ate it up, and Mart will not get the 1st down. Albany's defense once again with a huge play, and Well, there being 2:13 left in the first or in the second or third quarter, I'll get it right here in a second. You got to start thinking now that, this game's almost over. I mean, Mart is just not able to do anything offensively. The defense hadn't stepped up the way it's had in the second half. This game could easily be 35-3. I'm really shocked at the lack of offense from Mart today. Albany now takes over, and they're going to get a first down. Fairchild steps out of bounds with 2:09 left. I mean, not a first down. They're going to throw on first down. Patrick on Twitter asked, let me get the actual question. Patrick Devitt on Twitter asked, has the rest of 2A elite passed Mart, or are they just not at that super elite level anymore? I mean, they're still making it to the state semifinals and the state championship. I mean, you could, make the case that their path might not be as tough right now. But you could also just make the case that Albany's just that good. I mean, they're about to repeat. And this is just a bad matchup for Mart. 3rd and 4 for Albany now is minute 45 left. But Mart does seem to be lacking on the just pure athleticism on the offensive side of the ball. Even watching them through, and they put up great numbers. So sometimes that's really hard to think. You feel like you're maybe, getting a little picky. As on 3rd down, it's going to be incomplete. So once again, Mart defense holds. Albany will have to punt with 1:18 left. Mart still hasn't lost a regular season game, I think, since 2019, 2018. I can't remember. Albany punts. It'll go out of bounds at the 29-yard line of Mart. So that's where the Mart Panthers will set up, trailing again 21-3. They led off the game scoring the first points. The very first offensive play of the game was an interception that Mart threw. And then they held Albany, got the ball, and had a decent drive, settled for 3, and then had another pretty good drive that I think it was flags, if I'm not mistaken. They ended up kind of derailing that drive. From that point on, though, it's been Albany's defense just absolutely dominating. And that truly could be part of the reason why Mart's looking so pedestrian, is how good Albany's defense is. We're in a timeout right now. 21-3. Albany leads. Again, we'll have the Malakoff Franklin game here at 3 p.m. Watch party preview. And then we'll finish the night off with Gunner versus Tidehaven. Hey, Saulers, did you ever coach in Tidehaven? That feels like a place that you would have coached at. That's a man right there, Robert Saulers, who's in the chat. Coach forever. Grant's not here, buddy. It's me, Terry. Grant's at the actual game. And I'm not sure. I think it might be. I want to say that he even retired, and the defense coordinator retired a couple years ago, maybe came back. I can't remember. But Soller's longtime coach, coached all over 2A, 3A ball, has some of the great stories. We got together a couple years ago to mourn a friend, and we had a fish fry, and we told stories. And tell you what, man, Robert has some of the best stories from his coaching days. It's things you wouldn't believe, but they're absolutely true. As we come back to play with 1:09 left in the third, Mart desperately needing to find some big plays and some points. First down play didn't go far. Man, it seems like and this might be part of it. And you know, we don't seem to have any just true Mart people inside the chat. But Mart just seems like they're really beat up too. A lot of players have been limping almost from the get-go. And so that might be part of it as well, with 35 seconds left here in the third quarter. Second down and 8 for Mart. Medlock finally finds some room, and it's going to be third down, but at least it's going to be manageable. And that's been one of the bigger issues as well. That 80s Tidehaven team, the team that tied with Pilot Point for the state championship because the coaches agreed before the game to not go by penetrations or any of that to have co-championship. Again, talking about ties and stuff. First down for Mart here. I almost feel like celebrating and hanging a banner. So first down, 7 seconds left in the quarter. Again, Mart with no sense of urgency, trying to get the ball snapped before the end of the quarter. They will do that. And it's going to end up being a fumble recovered by Mart for about a 20-yard loss. It's just been one of those days for the Mart Panthers, folks. And that's going to end the third quarter. We're going to take a break. We'll be right back here on the Albany versus Mart watch party going into the fourth quarter. Are you an athletic director or coach looking to make your locker room pop, looking to refresh your look, looking to redo your brand? Well, check out SI Design and Printing. They're going to transform your sports organization athletic facilities into what you're looking for by enhancing the student athlete experience, boasting the brand, and honoring your past. They do that with banners, backlit signage, locker graphics, window graphics, fence mesh graphic designs, and so much more. If you need a refresh, SI Design is going to help you do that. Check them out online, sidesign.net. And hey, if you're a parent or a grandparent, they've got something for you as well, as SI Design is the leading provider of custom sports prints. They offer a variety of products, including posters, banners, canvases, and more. All you have to do is upload your high-quality studio or action shot, and SI Design will create the memory for you. For more information, all you have to do is go to their website, sidesign.net/sports prints, and you'll get all the information that you need. You can also find them on Facebook. Just type in SI Design and Printing. Give them a call, 254-405-9492, or you can email them, info@sidesign.net, and tell Kyle that's Sideline to Sideline.
Hey, I mean, that was a good point.
I think we might start seeing some go back. One quarter left to play. Albany is up 21-3 as they try to go back to back. It's just been one of those days for Mart as that Albany defense has held Mart to 127 7 total yards on 49 plays. You wouldn't know it, but Mart has actually led time of possession so far by almost 9 minutes. But they're 4 for 12 on third down, and that right there has been killer. But the issue's been is that it's been third down and longs. Adam Hill with a big touchdown that kind of broke things open. And honestly, after he scored, made it 7-3. You already started to wonder, okay, unless there's a big turnover, where is Mart going to get those points? And again, that's the issue still. They're going to have some big plays, but they're going to have a lot of help because at this point, Albany is just going to go into grind it mode. Mart will be facing a long second down here as we get back to start of play. And the thing is Mart's done a great job in the second half defensively. Albany's went punt, downs, punt. They haven't had a drive of more than 4 plays. But that offense struggling for Mart has basically had it to where I don't know if Coach Faith and staff have felt like that they were been threatened, honestly, in the second half at all. But now with Mart's speed and athleticism, they get one guy and he makes a big play. And then all of a sudden you're talking about it being an 11-point game and things could be interesting. But right now it's an 18-point game. Long time out here as the beginning of the fourth quarter. They're pretty much on schedule. They're going to be a little bit behind, but it won't be too bad, I don't think. Boy, remember those days at Texas Stadium when you had 4 games? And it'd be 9:30 at night when that 4th game would be starting. I can remember broadcasting many of those. Oh, man, me and Grant, I think it's the equipment. Me and Grant's been sounding alike for a long time, brother. I like that. We've basically been married now for 16 years as Mart begins the fourth quarter with about a 4-yard gain. So it's going to be third down and about 14. I don't remember. I think it's the same defensive coordinator, Coach Sollers. I want to say he even retired and came back, or maybe he just retired and has been gone. But I want to say it's the same guy, but I'm not 100% on that. So third down and 13 for Mart, trailing 21-3. Going to throw a little hitch pass, basically understanding that you weren't going to get all 13 in one play. So you're going to get as much as you can on third down, which is going to be about 5, and set up a 4th down and makeable. So 4th and 6 officially. I don't know, man. Marty, it's just there's just been no get up and go. Even right now, I mean, you're down 18 points. It's 4th and 6, and everybody's just kind of standing around. Fourth down. Here is the 4th down play. Medlock scrambles. He's going to throw. Ball's going to be caught. And just like that, Mart's inside the 35 of Albany with a first down on a big play. Maybe Medlock's best play of the game as he scrambled away and found his slot receiver. I'm not even sure what route he began originally, but he basically then just jailbreaked it. Medlock found him, and there's at least some sign of life for the Panthers. Handoff up the middle, going to be a nice gain of about 4 yards. Sorry, I was looking for my laptop. So 2nd and 6 now for Mart. Their best drive of the day since their field goal drive in the first quarter. Medlock over the middle has a guy. Going to be a big play down to the 10-yard line. And all of a sudden, you're starting to see when Medlock has a little bit of time, he can find his targets, but he gets up and he's in a lot of pain. First and goal for Mart now. Medlock on the design keeper, and he's not going to get much. And this is one of those things. It's not just about getting points. You've got to get points pretty quick right here. I mean, again, second and goal, you're down multiple scores, and you're just not in a hurry to get to the line to run a play to try to get some points. Handoff now, going to bounce it outside, and Mart will indeed get points. The first touchdown of the night for the Mart Panthers as they try to crawl back into this game, 21-9. You're going to kick right here. You should. Yeah, they're going to try to make it an 11-point game. So it's a 2-score game now as Mart shows that they're not dead yet. They trail 21-10. We'll be right back here on the watch party for the state championship weekend. All right, the Mart Panthers show some signs of life. They still trail, though, 21-10 with 8:27 left here in the fourth quarter of this 2A Division II state championship game, a rematch from last year. It was 41-21 last year. Albany won. It looks like Mart's at least going to show like they might try an onside kick now, and they are. That ball's going to take a big bounce, but right to an Albany Lion. So the Lions will take over possession, 1st and 10. I mean, you might as well at this point. Your defense has actually played really, really good here. Only point so far in this half has been Mart. We're going to have a flag on Albany, illegal procedure. Still time. Again, Mart's going to have some sense of urgency, though, when they get the ball back, because with 8 minutes left, you're not only running up on the fact that you've got to find 2 scores, but you've got to also get Albany off the field. Again, though, in this second half, Mart has done just that. Albany is yet to have an offensive series go more than 4 plays. Handoff up the middle, going to be about a 3-yard gain. So it's going to be 2nd and long, probably about 2nd and 11. You're starting to see Mart defensively getting a little bit more emotional. That momentum might be starting to slide to Mart's side if they can make a defensive stop, because if they make a defensive stop here pretty quick, well, then you got Albany starting to kind of pucker up a little bit. Second down and 12 now for the Lions. Ball is dropped. Adam Hill on a direct snap drops the ball. He's going to run over two defenders and get a first down. Wow. You want to talk about the wild play of the game. Adam Hill, direct snap, dropped it, picked it up, almost fell, got up, jumped over one defender, ran over another, and got the 12 yards for the first down. Wow. That right there is phenomenal. And more importantly, for Albany, it's a first down. Another big run on first down all the way across the 40, about an 8-yard gain. And now you're at the point, if you're Albany, you're not even needing to really score. You just want to hold on to the ball. You've already ran 2 minutes off almost exactly right now. You're facing 2nd and 2. You know, that was the thing that impressed me with what Timpson did last night. Is even in that, you think of Terry Bussey and you think of that offense, and you think of a lot of points, but man, they were taking the play clock down to 2 seconds almost every time before they would snap the ball. And that's what Albany's doing right now. And on 2nd and 2, Adam Hill's back into the game, and he's going to get the first down, and he's going to try to stay in bound, but Mart pushes him out of bounds, so the clock will stop. But the way Timpson did that, even with that fast break offense, they weren't giving Toller a lot of chances. I go back to also Toller with that just amazing. Timpson with that just amazing defensive front. The linebackers and the defensive line just controlling the gaps. The linebackers shooting the gaps just so aggressively, and Toller could just never adjust to it. 1st and 10 for Albany now. Clock's at 6:20. Starting to get to that point. Is Adam Hill's going to find some room? Oh, what a great open field tackle, though. He's actually only going to get about a yard when it looked like he had at least 15. Great open field tackle. I think Hill was a little bit surprised, too. He ran by a defender, and the defender kind of turned and just grabbed him and held him and threw him back down. You don't see many guys one arm, or I don't want to call it one arm tackle, but tackle Adam Hill from behind with success like that. So 2nd down and 9, 5:55 left. Albany with the ball and the lead. Trying to grind this game down and get their back-to-back state championships. Hand off to Hill. He's got a big lane. Another great open field tackle saves a first down, but it's going to be 3rd down and short now with 5:30 left. They can basically run this clock down to 5 minutes before snapping, or right at 5 minutes before snapping. And that's what they're doing now. They have definitely thrown the brakes down on this drive on taking time before each snap. 3rd down and 3. Snapped it right at 1. Adam Hill, though, is going to be short of the first down by a yard. It's 4th down. 4:49 left in the game. What does Albany do here? Do they go for it? And if they make it, you pretty much seal it up. Mart does have all 3 timeouts, but again, they're down 2 scores. Fourth down and 1 officially. Again, 8 seconds on the play clock as they take their time to line up. They get out of the huddle. They break formation. 3 seconds, 2 seconds. They snap it. Hill up the middle. He's going to be short. So hope still remains for the Mart Panthers as they hold Albany on 4th down and with 4:09 left in the game, and Mart trailing by 11. They will take over. They still have yeoman's work to do, but there is still hope for the Panthers. The last two plays, just great penetration by that Mart defensive front. Not many times you'll see a team stop Adam Hill when he gets 2 tries at 5 yards, but Mart did just that. And again, this defense for Mart here in the second half been phenomenal. That was the longest drive Albany's had in the second half. They've not put up any points up so far. So let's see how Mart responds as they're going to run the quarterback directly up the middle. Interesting play call with only 4 minutes left and you need 2 scores. I mean, at this point, you're going to have a big play and still probably try an onside kick. They do have all 3 of their timeouts, but you do not want to use them on the offensive side right now. You want to save those for if you score, and then you're trying to get Albany off the field. 2nd down and 7 here. Ball's going to be caught, but it's going to be 1 yard gain. So now it's 3rd down, and you've wasted almost a minute, and you've gained all of 2 yards. I'm sorry, 4 yards. They're giving him a 3rd and 6. Huh. .316 left. Third and 6. Looking to throw. Ball's almost caught. Green almost one-handed it, but he dropped it. It's going to be 4th down and 6. And Mart's season is going to come down to this last play with 3:02 left. Oh, he almost had one of the best catches you've seen at state. Jacob Emmers had one of those for Anna a couple weeks ago. Green just couldn't quite pull it in. And so it's 4th down and 6, 3:02 left in the game. Mart's got to go for it. And if they don't make it, the game's all but decided. Ball's going to be incomplete, and that's going to do it. Albany should be able to hold on now and get their back-to-back state championship. It's crazy how it took them so long to get that first one. Denny Faith had been to the state championship so many times just to come up short. Finally get it last year, beating Mart 41-21, and now it looks like they're on their way to back-to-back state championships. And the question now becomes, Mr. Robert Sollers, Coach Sollers, does Denny Faith retire after this one? There's been rumors that he could retire no matter what, but definitely could retire if they won a state championship. Wonder if he'll make a decision or say something after this game. Grant Goodwin will be going down to some of the press conferences for us, and he'll provide us some video and stuff that he'll put up on our Sideline to Sideline Facebook page. And then I'll probably incorporate them into some of the game watching stuff if he gets them to me quick enough. Coach Soller says, why would he retire? Stay till he dies. Hey, I have no problem with that. More and more coaches are doing that. He didn't even double dip. You know, you love a place when you don't retire for a year or two and then come back into coaching. Again, we'll be back here pretty quick, actually. It's 1:51, so they're going to almost be on time by the time this game ends. As soon as this stream ends, we're going to immediately go into the Class 3A Division 1 state championship preview and watch party. Franklin versus Malakoff. That's the one I'm looking forward to. Depending on if Mart calls their timeouts, and even if they do, Albany can basically just kneel it give the ball over to him, and that's going to be game. Tyler Terrell says it best. Why not go for a three-peat? He might. It's just been the rumor. Of course, that was the rumor last year too. That if he finally got that state championship, that he might retire. And I said this on the preview. I thought for a moment last year in the press conference he was going to announce that. It looked like he might, but he ended up not. So he might not have any plans. It's just, again, been what some people out in that area have been saying, that even if they didn't win state, but especially if they won state, that he might hang it up. Now they're just Adam Hill's just taking direct snaps and just fighting off one Mart defender, two Mart defenders, five Mart defenders before they finally bring Hill down, and he stays in bound, and that's the most important thing. And Mart's not calling timeouts. So it looks like Mart is going. Oh, now as I say that, I think they did just now call a timeout. New Mexico. Man, I love me some New Mexico. Cloudcroft, a beautiful mountain town up there. Artesia. They play some great football at Artesia. That's one of the blue blood powers there in New Mexico. So they did call a timeout, and they put back 15 seconds. So 2:47 left in the game. I want to one day get Robert Sollers on to a podcast to tell some of his stories from back in the day, especially working with the Ward brothers. Early 2000s 2A football was wild, man. It was wild. So 2nd down and 7 for Albany now, as they are just basically running out the clock. Adam Hill again, direct snap. He'll go right up the gut. Another timeout will be called by Mart. So 2:43 left. There's just certain eras of certain classifications that you kind of would call outlaw eras. And for some reason, 2A, early 2000s, there was just some. I've seen a lot of it and heard more of just how just wacky and wild some of that was. These two teams over the last 5 years in this division have 3 of these state championships. Windthorst has one of the others. Of course, that was the big upset over Mart, 22-21, and then Stratford with the other one. Stratford now, of course, up in Division I, and they lost to Toller in the state semifinals. And they lost mainly because of turnovers. They turned the ball over 5 times in that game. If I'm not mistaken, Tyler, I think this is Coach Faith's 6th time. Two and 4, or maybe this is his 7th time. 3rd down and 3 here. A first down seals it up. It's basically over anyway, but first down makes it official. Adam Hill will get that first down, and I don't even know if Mart will use that last time out. Actually, I guess that, well, no, we don't know yet because the clock stops. Adam Hill shaking up. Texas Tech folks can't like that. He looks like he's going to be all right. Hey, I I've heard that more and more teams are starting to break out the old wishbone. That was the offense I loved watching as a kid. Growing up, I'm a huge University of Texas fan, but man, the 80s Oklahoma, Barry Switzer with Jamal Holloway and that group, Greg Pruitt, and they ran that wishbone to just perfection until they ran up against better athletic linebackers at Miami who could run. But I wouldn't mind seeing the old school wishbone come back fully. Louisville ran it to a state championship way back in the day. So Adam Hill's out of the game. And Mart's out of a chance for a state championship as Albany's going to finish this year 16-0. Yep, Goldwaith ran it for forever. That was one of those teams that you knew them by the bone. You know, the wishbone is a lot like the slot T. If you run it, it's not just an offense; it becomes a part of the community. That's what I love about slot T offenses. Of course, Liberty Hill made it famous when they took it up into big boy football and have succeeded with it. But you know, Franklin and back in the day, Mickey Owens out in Monaghan's. Second and goal now. Adam Hill back into the game, and he'll take the snap, and he'll get down to the 5-yard line with 1:23 left. So, again, as soon as this game is over, we're going to go ahead and end it, this thread or this stream, and then I'm almost going to immediately start the next stream. That, of course, is the Class 3A Division I state championship game, Malakoff versus Franklin. We have the preview show that we're going to have on there that we talked to both coaches in that one. And that's one of the reasons I wanted to make sure we get that one in is we talked to both coaches and both of them were great interviews. Of course, we have the Franklin Coaches Show, Mart Fannin, each and every week here brought to you by Small Town Society. But with a minute left, it took them 39 years between state championships. This time it's taking less than 365 days, as now Albany will call a timeout to empty the benches. Mart will do the same thing. And again, just join us over on the other thread as soon as this one ends. I always love watching coaches when they're about to win and the older coach is still coaching. There's that famous one with Nick Saban. I think it was last year. They're about to win. There's 5 seconds left. They're literally just lining up to kneel. The other team is, and he's so mad at one of his guys who just wasn't lined up right. And seeing Coach Faith right now, he's still coaching, and I love that. And there's nothing wrong if you're celebrating either as a head coach at this point. But I'm just saying, I always think it's cool when you see the coaches that are still coaching even when the game is in hand. So Albany now, 55 seconds left. Let's see if they try to go for a touchdown or just kneel. They are going to try to go for a touchdown, and they're going to get it. And on that note, we're going to go ahead and end this stream. Albany is going to win the Class 2A Division II state championship for the second year in a row, as they're going to beat Mart. We're going to end this stream because we're immediately going to jump over and go to the 3A Division I state championship thread. And yes, Coach Sollers, you're right. I thought that was very awesome when head coach for UT, Steve Sarkisian, put in Jonathan Brooks for the last play, even though Jonathan Brooks tore his knee up a few weeks ago. I thought that was a really classy move by him. But we're going to end it thread now. Albany's going to win 28-10, barring a late touchdown by somebody. Thank you for joining us here on this thread. Now join us in on the other one. We'll be right back for Malakoff first.